Hello, everybody. I'm starting a new channel, and we're going to be talking about whiskey, bourbon, toys, media. Just want to give a quick short to let everybody know what to expect to talk about, plus much more. Hello, everybody. I'm starting a new channel, and we're going to be Good evening, everybody. Welcome to Tuesday Night Theories with BTM Reviews and friends. Tonight, this show was funded by Low Watermark last night. He was so generous. He left a $50 super chat, and he specifically said this is for your next theory show. So tonight we're going to talk about MH370. I watched a documentary on it on Netflix. Apparently, there's a lot of people that say they got shit wrong. How do you know what's wrong? How the fuck do you know what's right or wrong? Sorry. You only know if it's right or wrong when you can prove what happened to the flight. So for people to say that is kind of silly. But we have some stuff we're going to look at and get the chat's theories on everything. I'm glad to see everybody here in the chat already. We got Ben, of course. What's up, Nicholas? And JJ Trujillo. Right. What? I just got endorsed by Ripaverse Goalpost. Does that mean he made a video about you? That's pretty awesome. Pretty awesome. Apparently, a lot of videos are getting made about us on this channel lately. Jim sent me one today by some guy named TJ or TGTK. I think that's his name. But I think he was actually supporting us. But I don't know. It seemed like a fair clip. Didn't seem like it was rage bait or anything. So, Jim, what do you think, buddy? How are you tonight?
Yeah, I think that guy just had his own axe to grind with someone, and he was using us as a cudgel to beat the person he didn't like.
It's Anna.
Yeah, and I was just like, dude, I didn't slam anybody. We just said it was weird and
right. But I'm just it was a fair video though. He didn't make us look like assholes.
He didn't make us look like assholes. He said like Anna slammed on BTM Reviews. Yeah. And I was like, dude, I don't recall slamming anyone.
I didn't slam her.
I know. I'm like, what the fuck, man? I'm like, Jesus, actually, I'm like, I don't need this shit, man.
Fuck Anna, dude. Who cares?
Not that. I just don't want other people. I don't want all this drama. I don't want it. I don't want
it. Sure, Twitter King. 4,000 subs on Twitter.
Leave me out of your shit.
You are the creator of the shit. You give positive reviews to Gooding and you read the books too fast.
Yes. I only like it when I'm stirring the pot. I don't like when other people grab a ladle and start stirring.
You're on the show.
Let me stir it myself.
You're on the show. Did I kick TJ? should we ban him from our chat since Ripaverse Goalpost is I guess making videos about him now. That's awesome.
No, he's Riververse Goalpost is the one who told me that I didn't spend enough time reading the book to really appreciate it.
Even though you give it a positive review.
Yeah, I said I liked it. If I would have, are you saying I should have spent more time and found problems?
Sure. Then you could really appreciate what it is, because Jim, you're like on this island of CGers that think it's decent.
I don't know. But anyway, I just have a word of advice for anyone out there. Don't fucking buy any Adobe product. Holy fuck, do they suck. I fucking spent 6 hours today fucking around with Premiere Pro and fucking Photoshop. That fucking shit crashes and freezes, and it's a fucking dog shit fucking app that they want $600 fucking dollars a year for.
$650.
Fuck them. Fuck them.
Yeah.
It is garbage. I don't give a fuck. If but you can take a face. You're supposed to be able to take a face. Just swap a face onto another picture and it'll blend in. And it'll be like it was always there. And well, if it don't fucking work, it don't fucking work.
It only runs on Apple. But Apple's got Lightroom, dude, and that shit, Apple lovers love it. And it's not $650.
Lightroom is an Adobe app.
but it works.
Yeah, whatever. It don't fucking every fucking thing.
Hey, Jim has 4 copies, Elemental. He might sell a copy at a decent price before they burn down his house for liking it. We have Julio here. What's up, buddy?
How's it going, boys? Going all right?
You said you tried to mess with Adobe before too, right?
Yeah, I didn't want to have anything to do with it. Too many fucking buttons, too complicated. Who needs it?
Dude, you know what I hate though is when people send you stuff that you have to have Adobe to open. You know, and you're like, man, I don't want this on my computer, and I just won't open it. Hell, I don't even have Microsoft Office on my computer. With Google Slides and all that shit out there now, make it fucking Google.
Well, I have the Office because I pay for it's like Office 365 because they give you like an extra couple like a terabyte of cloud storage.
Yeah,
but it's still like $400. It's like $300 a year.
I don't know what it is. I don't think it's
$10 a month.
No, I think it's like $10 a month. I think, and if you pay for the year, I think it's like $89 for the Office 365.
Oh, so not professional. Not Office professional.
No,
okay.
No, just Office like 365. And then the one I got, I can have like 5 family members that I can give it, like put them on it and they can have it too.
Oh.
So,
Elemental says, Jim, one thing you can do is disconnect Adobe Cloud and services in general from the internet, which helps a lot with lag and stuff like that. So make it a like a hard drive only device rather than a cloud device.
No, it made me use some Cloud Connect bullshit.
No, but you can take it off. It's like Microsoft. You don't have to play the games online. You can decide to play offline. There's games like that, so you can turn that shit off. Yeah, they are there. And you know what? The whole thing with Google that's really cool is it just saves. I don't have to go up there and hit file save. I make a change to a document, the fucking change is made. No worries. But don't you get a free? Don't you get a free too because you're in school, Ben? I mean, don't students get like super cheap Windows products when they can show a student ID? I think they like discount the shit out of it for them. And Ben's a perpetual student, so
yeah. So I got 7 days to cancel it, and I'm gonna cancel it.
Try it cloud free first.
I'll try it. I don't know, but if it's I don't understand it. I'm watching these tutorial videos saying, okay, take the lasso and circle around the face. And then, okay, I did that. Okay, now you copy it. Okay, now paste it onto the photo. I paste it on the photo, and it's just a blank thing. It's not the picture. I'm like, what the fuck?
Right. Yeah.
It needs the aggravation.
It's fucking aggravating. Oh my God, is it aggravating? It shouldn't be that. And why does they got fucking 50 little symbols on the side of the thing, but nothing telling you what the fucking symbols are?
And when you move your mouse over, it doesn't say anything?
You got to wait 30 seconds, and then finally it pops up what it is. And it's like, what do I got to make a cheat sheet that I can go back to? Because, what the fuck, man?
Yeah, that's kind of garbage. But I mean,
you should be able to just point and click, and then it should come up like, what do you want to do? Copy this? Okay, then when you paste it, just like every other fucking thing with a computer.
Dan says you can pay him $600 a year and he'll do it for you.
Well,
Jim didn't say no, Dan.
Nothing wrong with outsourcing.
But maybe, well, I don't know. I think he's got Jim's vision. He makes some pretty incredible thumbnails for us. Makes us laugh. So, so did you try to do a video with it, Jim? Is that what you tried to do today?
I tried to do a video with Premiere Pro and it crashed and crashed every time I'm trying. It's like, and then it tried to like download. It was like, oh, we're going to download all your files from the cloud. I'm like, what the fuck are you talking about? It just starts grabbing things from my Microsoft OneDrive. I'm like, stop. What are you doing?
Like, no, I'll tell you what I want. Yeah, that's very intrusive.
I'm like, no. Well, no. I'm like, no, I didn't tell you to fucking download my whole camera file.
Mother effers.
You
know? Well, because every company now is software based, Julio. Hardware is like very disposable, but the software, they just suck people in on that shit, man. And even in a company, in the business I'm in, we're a hardware company, but they think they're a software company. It's like, you're not. Just make the hardware. Stop charging people for dumb shit. It makes it harder for us to sell stuff.
I think one of the only things nowadays that isn't cloud and software is gaming. Like, you have to have hardware to run.
Yeah, but now they're fucking with that too, where they're fucking giving you a disc and the disc doesn't do shit except for it's going to download fucking 30 gigabytes of bullshit for the game. It's like, wait, whoa.
So I got to wait 9 hours to start playing the game. Yeah.
So when I got PS5, I got the God of War Ragnarok version. I didn't get a disc or nothing.
Yeah.
There's a code. You're right.
Yeah. And what's bullshit about that is then they can change it and fuck you and delete it and it's gone.
What they really want you to do is they really want you not to even buy the disc. They want you to pre-order it from the store. So when you pre-order it, it downloads it to your hard drive that night at midnight. Because if I get it the next day at 1 o'clock in the afternoon from the store, I won't start playing till 10 o'clock at night because that fucking download takes forever.
No, what they want to do
when it's 60 gigs and shit.
They don't want you buying anything at a store anymore, going in and buying it. They want you buying it directly from them.
Mm-hmm.
That's what it is, from their store. Like from either the Steam
and
or
you don't
from
own
Microsoft.
it. And you don't own it.
They can take it away. They can change it without telling you.
Oh, Sony's done it. They've taken away movies and shit from people, and they're like, well, too bad. Read the read the goddamn copyright thing.
Well, even that's what I was pissed. That's why I stopped. I used to buy everything from Vudu and like Fandango and stuff like that, and even Google Play Movies. And then I was like, wait, what? They could just delete a movie that they're like, yeah, we don't want to keep this anymore, so fuck you. You paid for it, too bad, because they have some fine print that says they're only required to keep the movie for 7 years.
Yeah, so you rented it for 7 years.
So basically, you rented it for 7 years. So I'm like, well, I'll just buy the disc then. And a lot of times with the disc, you get a code for the digital copy for free anyway. So
that used to be a big deal. That used to be a real big deal.
I don't even know. I haven't been buying a lot of, but most of them you get a code, a digital.
Not
copy
lately.
With it. Really?
Not lately. Yeah. Nah. Because there's too much competition for that, dude. I mean, those were like, and I have a bunch of old stuff on my phone from stuff I downloaded to the cloud from those codes.
Yeah, like Disney bought.
I go to my videos. I'm like, oh shit, I got movies on here. Shit.
Yeah, because there was this thing called Ultraviolet UVVU that had all these movies, and they basically like spread it to all these things. Well, that went away.
Yeah,
because of Disney. Mm-hmm. And so now it's all Disney. I think it's Disney Play movies or something like that, or some kind of Disney Anywhere or something like that, or Disney Everywhere or something movies that basically took over it, and so they're gonna fuck with it too.
It's too complicated. It was, when Netflix came out, everybody's like, everything's here. You just sign up for 1 month, monthly basis here, and you get everything.
Netflix came out. I was getting discs sent to my house.
After they did that, yes. There's GameFly for gamers, Netflix for but
when I liked the discs coming to my house. I thought that shit was cool.
It's to return it. It's too much of a pain.
Yeah, but whatever. That's on you. But I thought it was a pretty cool thing. But that put Blockbuster out of business real fucking fast.
Yeah.
Real fast. Ray, Jim has every movie on his hard drive.
Yeah,
all those movies behind him is on his hard drive.
Plus
Well,
that-
well,
like
there's a
Expedia.
problem with that. It's because then the shit goes to shit and something happens, and then you're spending fucking a year putting everything back on drives because a drive got fucked up.
But don't you back it up on the cloud?
Fuck, dude. I would be paying thousands of dollars a month for this amount of storage on the cloud.
But
like
it's your,
100
it's your
terabytes.
collection,
worth of
Jim.
Yeah.
It's your
Yeah.
collection. You have
Yeah,
to protect
no.
your collection.
Well, no, but see, that's the thing. All my movies were backed up on Amazon Cloud because it was free, unlimited storage. And then all of a sudden they're like, yeah, we're going to get rid of that. We're not going to. You used to have Amazon Cloud storage was free. Not anymore. You know, they're like, that shit's worth too much money. And I was putting all my movies on Amazon Cloud because then you could go in anywhere and just sign in your Amazon account and watch them.
But now you got a cap, right?
Yeah, now it's a cap. And so basically they just erased a bunch of my shit. I was like, oh, whatever. It was just it's just movies.
Yeah, I know, but it's just like I hate this what they do with this stuff that we actually pay for that they manipulate and can take away, and we don't have anything.
You can do, and I might do, is you can upload movies to your own YouTube account as long as it's privated. Like you private it, you don't make it public. You keep it private, and you can have it. And then Amazon, like you Google, there's no amount of YouTube does not have a storage limit for you.
Right. If they did, they would be deleting our videos every day.
Right. So I was thinking about doing that, just putting movies on there privated.
I've never recorded. I never record our videos. StreamYard does it automatically, and then it's already on YouTube, so there's no sense on downloading it.
Yeah, the only reason, plus it's on Rumble too, so it's two places. So if YouTube deletes it, it's on Rumble. You could always download it from Rumble, but like you do a lot of people.
The only reason to download it is to be able to edit it really quick.
Yeah.
So, and when you do a 6-hour stream,
you can actually edit. You
take
can
a
actually edit you can edit it on YouTube, but it doesn't have all the tools. It doesn't give you the options to.
But you can do the cutouts and stuff.
Yeah, you
and
can cut stuff out.
You can make your clips, right? They're really promoting making clips. Like it's a thing. Like, make the clips, people. Make those 4-minute clips because that drives ad revenue. Your 14-hour video or live streams, we don't make no money off those. Those 4 to 6 minute videos we can put ads on. So
they're pushing shorts.
I put
they stopped pushing shorts. They stopped pushing it.
With every video I make a short for it, put it up, but it doesn't seem to really help.
No, no,
because it's an automatic. Use AI, like AI Clipchamp has an AI thing for making a short. You just go you take the video, you pop it in there, and it says how long you want it to be. 1 minute, 3 minutes. I just make a 1-minute video.
And that's portrait mode, right?
Yeah, portrait mode.
Yeah,
because that'll go to shorts. And so then it just does stuff, and then you can change it, and it does different things. It makes multiple pictures, or does different fades and weird stuff. And I don't know, man.
That's a problem, Ben. It's not YouTube's not the same crowd as TikTok. I mean,
same with Instagram. Yeah, my kids never go to shorts. It's Instagram Reels, TikTok. Yeah, they don't
never.
Plus, the whole thing with shorts on YouTube, you can't. You're like. It starts playing. There's no way to pause it or do anything. It's it's going to play the whole thing, and then you can either watch it again or it's going to go to another short. So it's really retarded.
And you can't send it to your TV, as far as I know. I watch YouTube on my TV. You hook it up to your.
Yeah, there's no on the TV app. There's no shorts on there. So.
Oh, there's not.
No, not on the app on Roku or TV or anything like that.
So it's really important for them to have shorts, and I guess
I did figure out though, how a lot of people. This is a good tip for anybody watching. If you watch anybody through Patreon,
tech tips from BTM reviews.
If you watch anybody through Patreon and they're on YouTube or Rumble or anything, and so it's a privated or unlisted video, so you can't find it, and you have to usually watch it on your phone and stream it to a TV or stream it somewhere.
Oh yeah.
You start watching it on your phone and put it in your saved playlists on either Rumble or YouTube, and then you can go to your TV, go to the saved playlist. It'll be right there, and you can continue watching it on your TV. So you don't have to cast it from your phone and deal with all that. Did you hear that, Julio?
I gotcha. Yeah, because also that works for live streams where some people stream live and then they don't keep it, and then they re-upload 4 days later.
Yeah.
If you catch it live, save it. It'll be there for you to watch.
Yeah.
Or they.
Yeah. Because it doesn't. It just goes it just goes unlisted. They don't private it. They make it unlisted. So you have to have that, be able to go in with the link to watch it. But whatever, that's just something I figured out. And I'm probably, people are going to say, yeah, dummy, why didn't you know that? But hey, I was streaming it casting it from my phone. And it was like, your phone shuts off then and go, and all of a sudden it stops streaming. You go, what the fuck? You got to go back to your phone and start it over. Especially Rumble's really fucking glitchy with trying to find a spot and trying to rewind. And
Yeah.
it's fucking weird. But if you go on and what was that?
If people are saying, why wouldn't you? Why would you know that? You don't wake up in the morning knowing shit. It's gonna be easy, right?
Right. Yeah. All I know is my grandson watches my YouTube channel, or the one I watch. All I get on my fucking algorithm is Minecraft videos, which is great. Which is great because I never look at the homepage. I just go to who I subscribe to and see who came out with something new that day. I don't really care about what YouTube's recommending. It's not a thing I really care about. But Jim had something to say about this today. He goes, I didn't say nothing about that. So I thought this was a fair video, Julio.
I'm glad I'm not on it. Okay.
Yeah. It's nothing there. It's only a minute long. I saw somebody talk about Anna the other day, and their problem with Anna is what's good for somebody else is not good for Anna. So she's really quick to criticize somebody for their actions, but when somebody criticizes her for her actions, they're the bad person.
Oh, the fat lawyer guy on Flashcast, he exposed her. That was she exposed herself with that interaction is retarded.
Potentially criminal. Yeah. So it's just one of these things where but
I'm sorry, what's that about potentially criminal?
He exposed Anna, when fucking Jim paying attention.
What, somebody say something?
What? Potentially criminal. Anna comes on there acting like Sean's the bad guy. And Jim, you knew what was going on with this stuff.
I did.
And
yes.
Sean wasn't the bad guy.
I did.
But Anna's quick to make it out that, she can call out something and she's always right. But when they call her out, you're always wrong. She's never fucking wrong. And that's why people get frustrated with her.
She completely misunderstood what was being talked about.
I thought that was a fair video. We didn't yell. We didn't scream.
There wasn't much to it. Really.
Right.
See, the way that the guy put it out there, though, saying, we slammed Anna, someone would see that and immediately, without even watching the clip, would immediately assume that we were talking a bunch of shit.
Yeah, I mean, it does say, let's see, it does say, was it shift or all control? Oh, there
Control.
We go. Anna got slammed on BTM reviews for her rules for them, but not for me mindset.
Oh.
And he calls out all three of us, point out how Anna going off on Law Tube Sean the second he arrived on Flashcast exposed her. Jim said that she completely misunderstood well, she did. That's factual. But then he fucking put the link to the whole video in here too. He's like, oh, you can go watch it at this link if you want to see the whole stream. I'm like, holy shit. I'm with you, Jim. I'm like, I don't need the drama either. But it is kind of funny. People are clipping the shit out of us lately, and we keep losing subs.
Yeah, I lost 3 subs, man.
No,
between yesterday and today, I don't know what the fuck happened.
I lost 2, man. I wake up every day, 2 more go away. Yeah, but we had a great stream, so I don't care. I can't make the subs come unless I make videos. I just don't have the fucking time to make videos all the time.
There was one account on X that clipped the show 15 times. Had 15 clips from BTM reviews, one after the other.
Really?
Just roasting the fuck out of you guys. And all I cared about, I'm like, am I on that? Because I don't want to be, I don't rewatch the streams.
I don't want to know who it was because I don't care. I don't want to know who. I just find it amazing that somebody cares that much.
Yeah. Well, that's why I didn't say his name because I don't know.
Yeah, I don't care. I mean, it's one night a week. Maybe we talk about that shit. Like tonight, we're going to talk about a plane wreck that is really, really fucking weird.
Mhm.
Really weird. So. Yeah. What's up, Kefka Fanatic? It's Kefka Fanatic, right? Kefka Fanatic.
Final Fantasy.
Yeah, Kefka Fanatic. Yeah. Right. Yep. That's good to know. All right, so we've been on for about 25 minutes. We got some people in here. Jim, first of all, chat. You guys know who Lemino is? Do you guys know who Lemino is? Lemino.
I have a video.
I'm just asking the chat.
Okay.
Will Lemino strike you for EFAPing his stuff? I just want to know if the chat knows. Because
I
don't know if he will.
Guy that's got 1.8 thousand subscribers.
Yeah, I don't know either. Oh, by the way, I did download that Plex in Motto. I was playing World War II propaganda cartoons on StreamYard before the show started.
Yep.
All right, so nobody knows. So let's fucking take a chance. We'll just pause it a lot, and then we'll see what Lemon. Now, well, the good thing about Lemino, Jim, is
how long is this video?
25 minutes.
All right.
Well,
I got a 7-minute video.
Oh,
so what?
That's an hour.
I think you'll like Lemino.
Okay.
He does all the graphics. He's actually like got some very good insights. Like he did a great one on JFK and some other stuff. But go ahead and present it, Julio.
You got it.
I don't know. All right, so let's see what. Okay, first of all, what is your idea, Jim, with this MH370?
Yeah,
if you were,
I'm clueless. I don't know what the fuck happened.
Do you think it was pilot error?
I don't know. These videos that show these orbs floating around and why we had a spy plane and 2 satellites watching it. It's just weird to me and screams something's going on.
It was a drone. It was a drone.
A drone and then a spy drone and then 2 satellites watching it. Like, why would we watch? I mean, the tens of thousands of planes that are flying around the world. Why did we have 3 assets watching it?
At midnight. Yeah, a red eye from Malaysia.
What's the TLDR of this whole thing? I know it's a Malaysian plane that disappeared.
Just vanished. Just vanished plane.
And they're accusing the pilot of committing suicide.
Yeah, but it didn't crash into the ground. It just disappeared. And they have a picture of it just going poof.
Right. Well, they say they can't find any, it's really a wild story. Apparently, though, there was a bunch of stuff on that plane, Jim, like components.
I don't know about all that.
For electronics that people didn't really want getting to where it was going.
There's lots of weird stuff. According to this video, there were a couple people who had squirrely passports. There was a co-pilot that might have had an issue with something.
But I thought I heard something that there was like a dozen or 2 dozen people that worked at a microchip factory or something.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I don't know. Maybe the aliens wanted them. I don't know.
Or they wanted them back. So we told you motherfuckers not to pass that shit out. Yeah, it went off radar like right after their last radio transmission, right? Like right after he said good night. Whatever. They lost him. All right, Julio, we're gonna start this, okay?
All right. You just say play and stop, and I'll do it.
Yeah.
Just let me know.
So pause it. This is 10 years ago now, Jim. 10 years and nothing. Like nothing. It's kind of wild. They say they found a few pieces of debris, but they're not really able to confirm they're from that plane. So kind of good that the mystery keeps going on, I guess. All right, Julio.
Delivery 18370. Good morning. Malaysian 370, standby.
At Kuala Lumpur International Airport, a Boeing 777 is preparing for departure.
Jim, that's a big ass plane, right?
Well, it's a bigger plane. It's not like it's smaller than a 747, I think.
The 777 is bigger than a 47?
No, it's smaller. Yeah.
So it took off from Cambodia or Kampuchea or whatever they call it now, right?
Kuala Lumpur.
Kuala Lumpur. Malaysia.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah.
Malaysian 370, request level. 370, we are ready, requesting flight level 350 to Beijing.
Malaysian Airlines Flight 370 is a daily passenger flight between Kuala Lumpur, Malaysia and Beijing, China.
370, 3 to right of takeoff. Nice. That's alright, Malaysia 370, thank you.
42 minutes past midnight, Flight 370 is given clearance to depart. On board are Captain Zahari Ahmad Shah, First Officer Farik Abdul Hamid, 10 cabin crew members, and 227 passengers.
Malaysian
Jim,
370.
pause it, Julio.
Got it.
10 crew members for a red-eye flight? Not including a pilot and co-pilot?
That seems like a lot of crew, actually.
That's a lot of fucking crew, dude. Like, I usually see 3 stewardesses at most on a, a flight going across the country. 10. Now there were 220 people on the plane, so that's what every 20 person has a flight attendant. Now that's some service, baby.
I think it's interesting that apparently the universal language for air traffic control is English.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, it's kind of amazing how invasive English is around the world as a language. Like, you think about, like, it's the I'm
best
just
language.
saying. Well, I agree, but it's still pretty amazing. So, yeah, go ahead, Julio.
Malaysian 370, Lumpur radar, good morning. Climb flight level 250. Morning, level 250, Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, climb flight level 350. Level 350, Malaysian 370.
I wonder what
Less
that
than an
is,
hour into
flight
the flight.
level. Is that just the
35,000
height?
feet.
35,000 feet?
Yeah.
So they just use short language or whatever?
Yeah, 350 is 35,000. If they said 35, it would be 3,500.
The plane is cruising over the south.
Malaysian 370, climb flight level 350.
Very good to know,
350, Malaysian 370.
Less than an hour into the flight, the plane is cruising over the South China Sea at an altitude of 35,000 feet. The night sky is clear, and the weather is calm. Flight 370 is then instructed to signal air traffic control in Ho Chi Minh, Vietnam, as it is about to enter Vietnamese airspace. The flight controller in Kuala Lumpur says goodnight, with no sign that anything should be amiss.
Malaysian 370, maintaining level 350. Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, maintaining level 350. Malaysian 370. Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Good night. Good night, Malaysian 370.
What's the 120.9 mean?
I believe that's the frequency.
Oh, all right.
Okay. Yeah, the frequency that they got to call them on in Ho Chi Minh.
102.9, Vietnam rocks.
What was that Robin Williams movie, Good Morning Vietnam? Good morning, Vietnam. Here we are. We conquered the world, says Alistair. It wasn't called the British Empire for nothing. Yeah. That's very true. I mean, that did do a lot to spread the English language around the world. I don't know, man. I watched a good documentary, and apparently this pilot was not mentally demented at all. Nobody said he had any kind of issues with his job or anything. Go ahead, Jim.
Well, I think the reason the English language was set up for flight controllers is because when commercial flight became a thing, it was mainly people after World War II flying the planes that were in the Allied armies, let's say, and the majority of them spoke English.
Oh yeah, and everybody wanted to come to their country on their planes anyway, so they better learn the language. It makes sense.
Well, yeah.
I
So
was-
I mean,
Yeah,
like
it
all
makes
these
sense.
it wasn't like, in the 1950s, there wasn't all these countries had airlines. It was basically a couple airlines. You might have had a small thing, but like the major airlines that were flying internationally were basically like American or
Pan Am,
TWA, or
when you could smoke
Air-
on the plane and
Yeah.
get a nice meal, all that shit, and people wore a suit when they got on the plane instead of their fucking flip flops and sweatpants. They look like slobs.
The company that I worked for when I was in IT was an air traffic control training company. And it was all ex-Vietnam vets who'd work with the FAA, and we had contracts in Iraq, Colombia. So it makes sense that they're all, speaking English.
Yeah. Yeah, makes sense.
1 minute and 43 seconds later, the aircraft suddenly vanished from radar screens at Kuala Lumpur, Ho Chi Minh, and Bangkok. This form of positional tracking depends on a signal being emitted by one of two transponders aboard a plane, and so its disappearance would suggest both transponders ceased to function, or the system was manually deactivated by someone on board. All subsequent attempts to contact and ascertain the whereabouts of Flight 370 are unsuccessful. The aircraft has seemingly vanished without a trace. After missing its scheduled time of arrival in Beijing some 4 hours later, Flight 370 is officially declared
Did you hear the theory, Jim, about the terrorist attack? Oh yeah, they went through a whole process about how some company said that on these planes you can get down to the control room for all the electronics just by lifting a floor panel right by the pilot's door, and you could sabotage it from there. And they're like, well, the Russians probably did this. The issue is they didn't even know it was a thing until they decided they could find out how the plane went down. And they have no proof that that's what happened, but they're thinking, well, that's another possibility that those dirty Russians, they think
why would the Russians take down a Malaysian air flight?
Why would they shoot down a plane over Finland?
They don't like the Finns. They've been fighting with them back since the 30s.
True.
Why were we watching a flight? Yeah, was it one of our F-18s that did it? I think so too. There's a flash in the sky that could be whatever, Jim. All right, go ahead.
Wake of that announcement, the most expensive search effort in aviation history is about to commence.
That's kind of crazy. Most expensive ever. Well, I guess if you don't find anything, Jim, you got to keep looking. So it just keeps adding more and more money onto the till, huh?
Yeah, I guess.
Yeah, I guess.
When did they finally stop searching?
They're still looking.
They're still looking, dude. Yeah, I just looked at an article today. They're starting another goddamn search. It's going to be in fucking. It's going to probably be off the coast of Hawaii next. Yeah, I mean, they just keep looking.
It's on the moon.
Hey, man, it's in the center of the moon. They needed some supplies. They just, zapped it up there. Oh, we didn't play our solar flare report, Jim.
Whatever.
Wow.
Now you want me to pull it up?
Not with that attitude.
The search was initiated.
You pull it up, Jim. I need to get a beer.
Yeah. Then I need to get something to drink too. It's a gripper, this one. Well, you don't have to take stuff down, dude.
I don't know how it works.
You just leave it up there and I take it down. That way I can just put it back up.
Okay. Well, give me a minute. We'll put it back up.
Okay. We need our solar flare report. You got me addicted. All right, guys, 3 minutes.
Good morning, folks. We're going to peek in on seismicity, tropical storms, a new discovery about water on Mars, new insights on the great May 2024 solar storm, and of course, we've got space weather to discuss from this week and what we're watching for. We're starting with the last 24 hours on our star where things were pretty quiet. Minor flaring, small filament destabilizations, no CMEs aimed at Earth. Yesterday, we were discussing the geomagnetic storm from the previous CMEs that were aimed at Earth, and just after the morning show, the geomagnetic unrest amplified, where we hit level 4 storm conditions, KP8, much greater than what was expected from the solar wind event. The stream included 3 distinct impacts, but none were scary. You can see here that plasma speed never broke 550 kilometers per second over the last 3 days of the solar wind amplification. This was a modest set of impacts that once again has produced a more than modest geomagnetic scenario. It has calmed back in the overnight hours after aurora were seen as far south as Texas and Arizona.
Again?
The sunspot situation is a bit more sparse this morning.
Yep.
2 bigger groups, one of them departing on the south. Earth-directed space weather focus is on the northern group near center disk, where opposing polarities are oriented north and south. Flare risk from that group is relevant again today. Let's go next to the tropics, where Ernesto has formed as it hammers the eastern Caribbean there. Forecast models still have it slated to shoot northward here soon and miss the mainland. We will keep an eye on these forecasts in the days ahead in case that changes. Most interesting quake of the last day wasn't in the largest magnitude. 4.4 struck Los Angeles, not far from the swarm we were monitoring last week. Hopefully the region calms down a bit in the days ahead. First scientific article today is on Mars.
Saying
we
that
know there
because
is
of
a
the
bit of
solar
ice
activity
in the
calming
surface
down?
region mixed.
Sure.
I mean, is that what he's saying? Like,
I don't
there's.
know.
Oh,
I don't know. I would just be guessing.
well, you watch it every
with
day. I
reddish
thought maybe
dust,
there was
but
some
deep
reason
below
to
there is an
them
ocean
calming
of
down.
water. They say it's enough to
I only watch it every day for the one time if he says, "Oh my God, it's happening," and I go,
Oh, that way you got 2 days to get ready.
Yeah.
cover the planet in about a mile of water if it were all brought to the surface. It is, however, very deep, 10 to 20 kilometers down. Even after its decommissioning, the InSight lander data keeps providing unknown details about the red planet. Last but not least, interesting notes on the May 2024 solar storm. It was only the 3rd strongest geomagnetic storm power since 2001 when the timed mission began, but it produced the strongest geomagnetic disturbance, and a first in terms of chemical reactivity due to the electromagnetic impact. As we've said several times, that storm produced a greater impact to our planet than it should have, because Earth's magnetic field is weakening in the ongoing magnetic pole shift, kind of like the KP8 level 4 storm we had yesterday. We greatly appreciate your support. We'll do this all again tomorrow, right here, but right now at 6 a.m. in the new Valley of the Sun. Eyes open, no fear. Be safe, everyone.
Okay. So he's like saying to us that these storms are stuff we don't see with our eye, but they can measure with electronics. So these were more devastating than they should have been.
Yes, because of the weakening magnetic field, smaller things which wouldn't have been wouldn't have done anything are now causing stuff like that stuff in May where we got the pictures of the the auroras and stuff.
Right. Present it again, Julio. Yeah. Yeah. But they said they had more this week or yesterday.
Yeah, there was auroras in Texas and in Alabama.
He didn't even announce that the day before.
Yeah, he said he didn't think it was going to do anything. And so then he was kind of, basically that it was caused more disturbance than he anticipated. Yep. There's water on Mars. That's what he said.
Well, that's kind of scary.
That's hot news.
But water,
if it was brought to the surface, it would be a mile deep, he says.
A kilometer, wasn't it?
No, 1 mile.
1 mile?
Yeah.
Well, at least there's water.
Maybe it's Martian water. It's different.
The 3 boob woman
Maybe.
thing.
Did I ever tell you guys why Adobe sucks?
No, let's hear it.
I
want to know. It's a joke. Like, yeah, I don't. Yeah, are they drilling on Mars? How do they know that it's a mile deep? Are these predictions? I mean, is this like they're telling us the center of the Earth is full of fucking molten rock, but we've never seen it? Yeah, if there's water, there's likely life. Sure.
Well, there was probably a lot more water on there until its atmosphere got blown off by whatever. You know, like it had an atmosphere, and then something caused it to lose its atmosphere. What was it? Was it a micronova? Was it a blast? Was it something? You know,
its moon wasn't strong enough to fucking do the job like our moon is.
Maybe.
You know, their moon spun, ours doesn't. So it fucked them up over time.
Again, maybe it'll start having, maybe when this galactic current sheet hits it and it starts all the seismic activity and the volcanic activity, it'll start making some steam and the water will come back and create its own atmosphere again. I don't know.
Well, if they're telling us there's fucking water a mile deep on Mars, they should be able to tell us that there's active molten rock on the planet too.
Maybe.
I mean, you would think they would see.
They can't tell us whether or not the moon is hollow.
Well, they keep telling us the fucking Mars is red too, which it's not. Yeah. I hope it's like Total Recall. Yeah, we'll never live to
some
see
alien engine underneath the pyramid or the face that we see there, and it creates an atmosphere and people can live there.
Yeah, maybe they just didn't have the right sprocket, and that's why it happened. You know, they couldn't do the repair, and it just fucking killed everything. Maybe. You know, we'll show up in there with a rover, and the rover's like, "Oh my god, it's just a little, you know, a little widget. I got that right here. I can fix it." Next thing you know, Mars is a green planet. Elon Musk looks like a genius, and the entire planet moves its ass to fucking Mars because the grass is always greener, right, Julio?
I don't want the whole planet moving there.
Fuck them. Let them all fucking go.
People to move
well, anybody that bitches about being in the country that they live in, get the fuck out of your country. I mean, I'm not saying bitching about what's going on in your country, but bitching about having to live in your country, you get to go to Mars. Fuck off.
Make it like the new Australia, like the British did. Just
yeah, right.
Here's a rocket. Fuck off.
But yeah, even further though, so I don't even have to listen to their Twitter bullshit because it'll take like 4 days for it to reach the planet, right?
And send them to the Andromeda galaxy.
Yeah, so like their Twitter thread will be 4 days old before it finally hits Twitter. It's
a good idea.
Funny. Yeah, fuck them. All right. Let's get back to Lemino.
Concentrated around the location of the flight's disappearance between the South China Sea and the Gulf of Thailand. The search area was soon expanded, however, after the Malaysian military disclosed additional information. Unlike the radar system employed by air traffic control, long-range military radar does not rely on transponders but use reflectance to track the position of aerial targets. A review of the data collected by the Malaysian military...
Did you know that?
What?
The difference between military and commercial radar? Commercial uses transponders, military uses reflectance.
Yeah.
Pretty damn cool. I mean, it's a good way to make sure that both aren't, you know, confused about what they're looking at too, right? So
sure.
If they scan a plane and they don't get a transponder feed on it, they know it's not, they know it's a military plane. So that's pretty smart.
Is one better than the other? Because generally the military.
Well, if the military has it, I guarantee you it's fucking better. Yeah.
Yeah. Yep.
Yeah, for sure. Now, I wonder though, if you know this as a enemy combatant, and you just put a bunch of transponders in your fucking military planes, would it fool everybody? Or I don't know. Like, but is that the flaw in the system? Like, well, all I got to do is put a transponder in, and they'll think I'm a fucking commercial plane. He just said they use reflectance. Are you saying they use both at the same time, transponder and reflectance, so that they get two readings? Because he just said they use two different styles.
I would go ahead. The military has both, right?
they got something more than this guy knows.
There.
You know what I'm saying? Like, yeah, like we think we know something. They are 10 years ahead of us.
Revealed that moments after contact with Flight 370 was lost, the aircraft had deviated from its scheduled flight path with a subtle turn to the right, followed by a prolonged turn to the left. The aircraft had then flown back towards and across the Malaysian peninsula before turning right near the island of Penang. It maintained this northwesterly heading until it escaped the radar's coverage. Over the next few days,
so they tracked that on radar, Jim? I didn't know they'd even track that on radar. That was an assumption.
I think, well, they went back and looked at the tapes of the military radar and found it, maybe. I don't know.
Okay.
So does conventional wisdom say that when they made that hard left, that's when
they made that hard, if that's true, that fucking co-pilot was dead. Because the co-pilot would notice. And everybody else in the plane couldn't get in the cockpit, so it wouldn't fucking matter. But if that co-pilot had any, unless they were on it together, like, or they had some flash of light, Jim, take them away. Who knows? But that's a hard turn in the air. You would feel that as a passenger.
I mean, just based on this, it seems like somebody. I mean, I don't know nothing, but somebody commandeered the plane and wanted it to go somewhere else.
Well, there's only one person that could do it.
Well, the co-pilot, I would imagine, would be the one.
No, the pilot. The pilot. Yeah. So, yeah.
Of Malacca, the Andaman Sea, and the Bay of Bengal was scoured by a multinational fleet of aircraft and vessels, but there was no trace of Flight 370. Meanwhile, investigators began to analyze
I had never heard of any of those
satellite
places.
Communication records. Like all modern airliners,
The
Flight
Bay of
370 was
Bengal?
equipped with a satellite communications terminal, or SATCOM, to send and receive transmissions to and from the ground. Prior to departure, the SATCOM terminal had logged onto the satellite network and established a connection with a ground station in Perth, Australia. That station then maintained a detailed record of all the incoming and outgoing traffic between it and Flight 370. This is what it contained.
The whole
Prior
time?
to the flight's
That's pretty crazy. So it's like your phone tracks everything.
Yeah.
Yep. It's a long way away. Like there's not another, like it's fucking Australia compared to this. Why isn't there one in Malaysia that they're connecting to? Maybe it's for
it's for like phone calls and stuff.
No, I'm saying, but maybe it's like if they have it in their own country for their own planes, they could actually fuck with stuff. But if it's in a neutral country, they're just going to give you the data without, redacting anything. You know what I'm saying? So like it's in Australia, so they don't have any skin in the game. It's fucking Malaysia's plane. This is what happened. Here you go. So go ahead.
Disappearance over the South China Sea, everything appeared to be working as intended. Then, at some point during this portion of the flight, the SATCOM link was severed. For whatever reason, the terminal ceased to respond. But 3 minutes after the flight vanished over the Andaman Sea...
Jim, is this like a Payne Stewart thing? Maybe
it could be.
Like
it could be, but why would it doesn't make sense that why it would have turned around.
What's a Payne Stewart thing?
He died.
Did something. He had like a faulty
his cabin lost
system,
pressure. Yeah.
And he died, but the plane just kept going.
It flew and flew and flew till it finally crashed.
Ran out of gas, yeah.
The golfer?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Wow. All right.
Yep. So, I mean, is it that simple of a thing? Like the hard turn is he just leans on the fucking wheel and then he finally, falls over. I don't know. Maybe he's thinking I'm going to turn this plane around and get back to Malaysia, but he loses consciousness before he makes the full turn. You think he stole the plane? Where'd he go though? Why would he steal the plane? And they killed all 220 passengers plus the 13 people on it.
Well, the other question there, that now that you bring that up, Dave, is who was on the passenger list? Maybe there's some people where they wanted.
There were 12 employees from a microchip company that were flying to Beijing, right, Jim? Something like that.
Something like that, yeah.
The terminal requested to log back onto the network. The SATCOM link was successfully re-established and was not disrupted again until nearly 6 hours later, when the flight is presumed to have crashed due to fuel exhaustion. During these final hours, 2 attempts were made to contact the plane via satellite telephone. Both calls were acknowledged by the SATCOM terminal and would have been routed to the cockpit. Yet, they went unanswered. The terminal had also responded to 5 automatic status requests. In short, if the ground station had not heard from the aircraft in over an hour, it would transmit a signal to confirm the terminal was still online. While these transmissions did not contain any information about the flight's position, investigators were able to measure the distance between the satellite and the aircraft at the time of each transmission, based on how long it took those transmissions to be sent and received. This generated 7 rings of possible locations from which 7 of these transmissions are thought to have originated. By taking fuel consumption, speed, and other factors into account, flight path analysis indicated the most probable origin of the final transmission to be somewhere along this arc in the southern Indian Ocean. The search effort shifted accordingly, and as the region fell within the jurisdiction of Australia, the Australian government took charge of the operation. Over the next few weeks, the search area was progressively refined to account for oceanic drift as well as improved estimations of the flight path. But this part of the southern Indian Ocean is so remote it took 6 days just to get there. A new fleet of aircraft and vessels gradually covered more than 4.5 million square kilometers of ocean, but Flight 370 was nowhere to be found. If the impact with the ocean had been sufficiently forceful, it was possible the resulting sound had been recorded by underwater listening devices known as hydrophones. This possibility was investigated, and 4 hydroacoustic monitoring stations had recorded something.
I have a question about hydrophones. So they're listening devices at the bottom of the ocean?
Yeah, it's what they're all over the place. It's what we monitor for submarines.
So it's a military installation?
Yeah.
Huh.
While the timing and direction of the sound were reasonably consistent with the final satellite transmission, the estimated origin was not. The sound was in all likelihood caused by nothing more than geological activity. Flight 370 was also equipped with 2 underwater locator beacons which had a battery life of some 40 days, and as the deadline approached in early April, signals with a pulse and frequency somewhat similar to the signal emitted by the beacons were detected at depths of up to 3,000 meters. An autonomous submersible then spent weeks scanning the seafloor where the signals had been detected, but no wreckage was ever found.
What do you think about that, Jim? I didn't even know that part of it. I never heard that they had those beacons.
Yeah, they have.
I knew that they had them, but they picked them up. I never heard that they picked them up.
They didn't. They said it was something that they thought could have been the beacon. They didn't say it definitely was.
Right. So they're just out there. They're basically, sounds to me, Jim, like they're just trying to look like they're trying, but they have no fucking clue.
I think those things are supposed to float anyway.
What?
Like those things are supposed to float.
Oh, maybe.
You know what I mean? If the plane crashed, the plane would break apart, and that box and stuff is supposed to have like flotation devices or something. It was like
3,000 meters down. Yeah.
Well, no, I'm saying it shouldn't have went that far down. It should have just been like poof, and like I think maybe.
Oh boy. Someone fucking knows, Moss. Someone knows. Maybe the people on North Sentinel Island know. I don't know. Somebody knows. When 3 U.S. military or U.S. government things are watching that plane at the same time, it's a really strange thing. Just saying. Go ahead, Julio.
And nothing would be found until more than 16 months later, when a discovery was made on the opposite side of the Indian Ocean. On the 29th of July 2015, a group of people were cleaning up a beach in Reunion, a small island to the east of Madagascar, when they stumbled upon this 2-meter-long metallic object covered in barnacles. Aviation experts quickly identified the object as a section of an aircraft wing known as a flaperon. Upon closer inspection, internal markings including dates and serial numbers conclusively ascertained the flaperon belonged to Flight 370. Even though Reunion Island is some 4,000 kilometers west of the search area, and more than a year had gone by since the flight disappeared, the location was consistent with simulations of debris dispersal patterns. There was now tangible evidence that Flight 370 had crashed somewhere in the Indian Ocean. The discovery of the flaperon prompted numerous searches along beaches and shorelines of southeastern Africa, and at least 31 additional items of interest have since been recovered and examined. Some of these items include a section of the outboard flap from the right wing, a piece of cowling from one of the 2 engines, a partial door from the nose landing gear,
Could the plane have had all those pieces that far away from each other? Like South Africa, Reunion Island?
I don't know. I think this is all propaganda to tell us not to look for it.
I was waiting to see Sam Hyde's face somewhere in this.
Section of the vertical stabilizer, and a mangled casing from one of the embedded headrest monitors. 18 of these items were identified as either likely, highly likely, or almost certain to have originated from Flight 370, whereas only 3 could be confirmed. The remaining 11 could not be identified.
You hear me, Jim?
There were no traces of an explosion found on any of the debris tested, nor was there any evidence of a fire except for 3
Jim,
small
I don't
burn
agree.
marks.
Finding that flapper arm makes it known that the fucking plane crashed. Debris can come off a plane, right?
Sure.
And if it's shot down, there's still going to be debris. Doesn't mean it crashed. Or if it was zapped by fucking solar or alien lightning or some shit, a piece that could have flew off the plane. Are they trying to tell us this is another piece from this guy Blaine Gibson?
Yeah, this guy's lucky. He finds all the pieces.
Oh, this guy to me is the biggest grifter of this whole thing.
Who is he?
He's some American.
Just happened to find all this stuff. Just went
he's some
to this
American.
island.
Yeah, he's some American adventurer that happened to look at all these patterns, and his first step on the first beach he went to, Julio, he found a part of this fucking plane. Fuck off.
A little sus.
Yeah, no, it's sus as fuck. And every beach he went to, he found a part. It was, yeah.
On one of the unidentifiable items. The search for debris was further aided by Earth observation satellites. Analyses of satellite imagery from March of 2014 uncovered a number of images which appeared to feature man-made objects floating on or just below the surface in the southern Indian Ocean. However, the images were not nearly sharp enough to resolve any identifiable markings, and multiple searches notwithstanding, this debris was never recovered. A satellite image taken mere hours after the final transmission also...
If they spotted this stuff on satellite, why didn't they get out there right away? They're trying to solve the greatest fucking disappearance of all time.
That's what I was thinking too. They have underground listening stations, all this radar, transponders, all this business.
And it sure as hell doesn't take long to get a C-130 over there and just check and see if there's stuff floating on top of the ocean that they can actually see from the fucking plane. Doesn't take long to do that, but they see it from satellite images and try to tell us they confirm that it's man-made. Fuck. This is some garbage investigation.
Also captured what appeared to be a contrail some distance away from the search area. A later analysis, however, concluded it was most likely a shadow from a somewhat linear cloud formation.
Oh, they're trying to say that's a fucking...
Wait. A shadow from a cloud formation. What the fuck? So it's kind of like swamp gas and stuff got up there and reflected from the sun and caused this illusion that you see and you thought it was a UFO?
You got it, buddy. I mean, why? like you're looking at this whole screen, you go, there's kind of a straight line, but there's also other straight lines that it's crossing through. So what the fuck? Radar, sonar, electronic toothbrushes, electronic nonsense. Go ahead, Julio.
Cloud formation. The underwater portion of the search continued for months and eventually years before it was finally suspended in early 2017, by which point some 120,000 square kilometers of seabed had been scrutinized. The search effort was then resumed by an American salvage company known as Ocean Infinity, but after more than a year of searching, they too came up empty-handed. Unless the final resting place of Flight 370 can be located, it may be impossible to determine exactly why it crashed.
So I'm assuming Ocean Infinity is a private company?
Yes.
Yeah.
So where's the money in finding?
Well, they're getting paid by Malaysia government to go out there and do this work because they don't have the ability. And Australia put a ton of fucking resources into this shit too. Like they're out there searching north, in the northern oceans north of Australia, which is way the fuck out of where the plane actually went. It's ridiculous how much they went through for this. I mean, I know people want closure, but still.
I mean, at some point, Australia would be within their right to say, I don't know.
Well, yeah, they all do. Like they were just trying to help him out. They were just trying to like, hey, you know, somebody said he might have flew the plane over in that direction. So they're like, well, we got a bunch of boats and we're seafaring people. We'll go check it out.
That's fair.
And they found Dick.
What's that?
They found Dick. Nothing.
Yes, there have been no shortage of theories. On the day of the disappearance, two of the passengers raised suspicion as they had boarded the flight with stolen passports, which immediately prompted concerns of a hijacking. But investigators were unable to link the two men to any terrorist organizations and soon determined they had traveled under false identities because they were seeking asylum, not due to any nefarious intent.
Pardon me.
Yeah.
I didn't think you could even get on a plane in foreign countries if you had like a bad passport. I didn't think you could even like do anything. Like to put your ass in jail if your passport isn't legit, Jim. That's what I thought.
Well, they didn't catch him. They found out that
they didn't catch him.
They didn't catch the guys. They found out after the plane that these guys had fake passports. And they just came up with and said, oh, well, they were probably just seeking asylum. They weren't terrorists or nothing.
That's the one thing when I watched this earlier that kind of, I went, wait a minute. That seems to be.
Okay, I misunderstood. I'm like, I thought they caught him at the gate.
No.
Okay, so now they're telling us that these two guys were seeking asylum. They know, even though they had fake passports, who they really are, but they had no association with terrorist groups.
No, they didn't say that. They didn't say that. What they said was that they determined that they weren't terrorists. They were just seeking asylum. So what does that mean?
It's the same thing I just said.
No, you said no one ever said they had ties. Who knows if they even looked for if they had ties? They just said
since they were seeking asylum, they determined.
Yeah, we determined that we believe they were just seeking asylum or wanted to seek asylum.
Okay, so I was going to say, if they caught them, they would have been straight to jail.
But how many people seek asylum in China?
Right.
That's kind of odd.
That's, yep.
You know?
Well, like, I don't know.
Most people are trying to get out of China claiming asylum, not going in.
I don't know how bad Malaysia is. And I don't know what country they were from. Yeah, but nobody's going to China looking for asylum unless you're maybe from North Korea.
Yeah.
Yeah, right. That's about it.
Could these two have been in cahoots with one of the pilots? Maybe.
I think they were trying to escape the expanding Earth in their country. So
that makes more sense. Yeah.
Yeah. They slowly saw it growing. We got to get the fuck out of here. So Sweet Tooth says Malaysia's population is heavy Chinese. Oh, okay.
I thought it had a lot of Muslim people, but I guess maybe not.
No idea. I've never been there. Have no desire to go to a place called Malaysia.
I got nothing.
Doesn't even sound like appealing. Malaysia sounds like fucking some kind of like disease we cured 100 years ago. No offense, Malaysia, but that's kind of what your name of your country sounds like. Go ahead, Julio.
Were raised on one of the passengers were identified as a flight engineer who
I'm not
might
trying to be
have possessed
mean.
the necessary expertise to take control of a Boeing 777. Apart from the 239 persons on board, Flight 370 carried nearly 11 metric tons of cargo. Among the items listed on the flight manifest was a shipment of lithium-ion batteries.
Oh, it is Muslim.
Which led some
Okay.
to suspect.
What's that?
It is a Muslim country.
That's what I thought too. Yeah.
Right.
A fire might have broken out mid-flight. For instance, the crash of UPS Airlines Flight 6 in September of 2010 was the result of a fire that was ignited by a pallet of lithium-ion batteries. Another potential source of ignition
you mean
would
the
be
safest
an
batteries ever
electrical
created,
malfunction.
Jim? Those lithium-ion batteries? Oh.
They're not. They're some of the most dangerous batteries.
And you can't get rid of them. You can't dispose of them.
They're like
they're a nightmare,
videos you can
dude.
see of them just bursting into flames. That guy that was in the elevator and it burst into flames in his hands.
Yeah. So, like, we sell lithium-ion batteries for our equipment. Okay. So, one piece of the equipment takes a larger battery. Just the battery alone is $597. And the chargers are $220 a piece. It's like, what the fuck? We're charging somebody $1,000 basically for one. And then the other piece of equipment, that battery is $350, which is about a quarter of the size. And those chargers are the same exact amount of money. So it's about $1,400 if you want lithium ion batteries for the equipment. It's fucking ridiculous. But people buy them. I mean, when you're dealing with cities and oil companies and shit, they got money. They just don't, fuck it. We'll buy it. Okay.
The crash of Swiss Air Flight 111 in September of 1998 is thought to have been caused by a fire within the electrical wiring above the cockpit. The fire damaged and disabled multiple avionic systems, including the transponders and SATCOM. In the case of Flight 370, the sudden loss of communication and subsequent deviation from its scheduled flight path might have been a direct response to a fire. The two pilots may have turned back towards Malaysia to attempt an emergency landing at the nearest suitable airport.
Makes sense.
But no such attempt was ever made. Instead, Flight 370 kept going and remained aloft for another 6 hours.
You assume.
Some have theorized.
Well, I was about to say maybe the plane caught fire. They spun around and then just kept going in the same direction after they couldn't put out the fire, but then it made a turn, which wouldn't make sense.
Or they lost consciousness by that point, and they lost consciousness, and it just flew until it ran out of gas. Like, Jim, you look like you're running out of gas tonight.
I don't know what's wrong.
You're not controlling the feed. That's what it is.
No, that's not it. I don't know. It's like I'm falling asleep, and I don't understand. I mean, I was up at 7 this morning, but
You
I
need
blame
a.
Adobe. I think Adobe took all your.
Yeah, Adobe drained you today.
Yeah.
Oh, I got good news though. I got a call from the people making my computer. I can pick it up tomorrow.
cool.
But I won't be able to because I'll be busy all day. But I'll have it Thursday, guys.
Cool.
Well, I think I think by time, if it was a fire in the plane, maybe by time they made that turn, the fire was so great, with all the smoke, it just incapacitated everyone. Even with their oxygen, maybe their oxygen things didn't work because there was smoke in them, Jim. Who knows? But yeah, Jim is he's not he's over there like thinking, man, that bed feels good tonight. But he's got the next video, so it's a shorter one. So we got to pause.
That's you on.
Yeah, but we'll play a little. Does he have any good theories at all, Julio?
I don't know. I mean, I thought this was I just happened to pull this up earlier to prep for being on the show, but we can.
I haven't watched this, but I mean, what he's saying, everything makes sense. But does he go into the pilot's fucking mindset and all that stuff later? Like people accusing the pilot of being a little wacky or whatever.
talks about him a little bit.
Okay. Let's switch videos real quick and see what the tempo of this one is, Jim.
All right.
Oh, okay.
Don't pull it down, Hulo. Just keep. You pulled it down, you son of a bitch.
I'm a rookie.
Stop
Sorry.
that.
This is a lot more woo-woo.
Oh, we like the woo on the woo-woo show.
It all began on August 7th, 2023, when Reddit user Velcro made a post to the RUFOs community.
Now,
The post contained infrared footage depicting an incredible and chilling event. Recently, I saw this footage circulating online, and I was hoping that someone here might have information about when this was taken and where. User U Volcaro wrote.
Good
The
point,
footage
Alistair
depicts a
Campbell.
passenger plane flying steadily across the frame. Without warning, 3 circular objects rapidly encircle the aircraft, weaving in synchronized orbits. As they continue their circular trajectory, the plane makes a sharp leftward turn, seemingly trying to evade its strange pursuers. But the bright spheres stay locked on target, refusing to break their formation. Then, as the plane straightens its path once more, all 3 objects suddenly converge on the helpless aircraft. A bizarre flash occurs, and the plane has vanished. Upon closer inspection, the aircraft bears a striking resemblance to a Boeing 777-200ER. This is the same model of the infamous Malaysia Airlines Flight 370 that
Jim,
tragically and mysteriously vanished.
So they're saying...
The timing and static...
Whoa. So they're saying that that video they got isn't the actual flight that day, from that day?
Who?
Did he just say that it looked a lot like the Malaysia airplane style?
Oh, it keeps going. It gets better.
Okay.
Tragically and mysteriously vanished in March 2014, while en route from Kuala Lumpur to Beijing. Soon, a second video of the incident appeared, this time taken from an apparent satellite in orbit high above the Earth over the location. The distant plane can be seen once more, ambushed by the luminous objects that previously surrounded it at close range. The higher vantage point provides corroboration that the same aircraft and incident are depicted. Armed with this new perspective, users vigorously dissected both videos. A pivotal clue lies in the coordinates briefly visible in the satellite video footage. Redditors quickly determined that a US spy satellite named NROL-22 captured the event based on partial name markings. Launched in 2006, NROL-22 was a classified satellite on a unique Molnia orbit. Reddit user, u/DroogyDon'tCrashHere, conducted an extensive analysis plotting the location of surveillance satellite NROL-22 relative to the coordinates displayed in the video. They determined that at its point of closest approach, NROL-22 passed within 4,434 kilometers of the coordinates in the southern Indian Ocean. With the satellite reaching a peak altitude of 83 degrees, its elevation above the coordinates was approximately 4,401 kilometers. This positions NROL-22 tantalizingly close to the location depicted in the satellite footage during the projected time period of MH370's disappearance. Another critical revelation uncovered by Reddit users is that the original satellite footage exhibits a stereoscopic 3D effect. This indicates the video was captured using 2 separate camera lenses spaced apart, allowing for parallax and depth perception. User something be demonstrated that when viewing the video by crossing your eyes, a perceptible 3D depth becomes apparent in elements like the clouds and orb flash. They also provided split-screen footage showing the stereo effect directly. This stereoscopic capability matches known sensors equipped on advanced reconnaissance satellites like the classified NROL-22, suspected of capturing the event. Going back to the FLIR thermal video, it depicts an unconventional camera angle that initially raised doubts about its credibility. Some claimed the view could not be achieved from standard nose-mounted optics. However, users identified the drone as a General Atomics MQ-1C Grey Eagle based on its wing shape and expanded surveillance payload. The MQ-1C can accommodate multiple electro-optical sensors on its wings and fuselage for wide-area monitoring. As user command and control summarized, this expanded sensor configuration matches the airliner video's simultaneous view of the aircraft nose and wing from a side-mounted vantage point. The MQ-1C's capabilities resolve the questionable camera positioning, lending validity to the thermal footage. To further the mystery, in the satellite video footage, a strange hole is seen forming in the clouds immediately after the flash event that makes the plane disappear. This punctured area was not present prior to in the set wing from a side-mounted vantage point. The MQ-1C's capabilities resolve the questionable camera positioning, lending validity to the thermal footage. To further the mystery, in the satellite video footage, a strange hole is seen forming in the clouds immediately after the flash event. Camera positioning, lending validity to the thermal footage. To further the mystery, in the satellite video footage, a strange hole is seen forming in the clouds immediately after the flash event that makes the plane disappear. This punctured area was not present prior to the flash occurring. Once the hole manifests, it persists in a fixed position, even as the camera pans away from the area. The timing and static nature of the ruptured cloud segment suggests a connection to the energy flash. The energy release can be observed pushing the gray cloud area forward. Additionally, the flash illumination...
I said, oh, okay. I mean, I'm glad that he replayed that a bunch of times for me to actually see what the hell he was talking about. So basically he's saying the thrust of whatever happened pushed the clouds apart a little bit, right?
Ben
because
says,
why does the video stop after the plane? Because I think that's all they want to show us, right? I mean, you know, and if Jim, if these satellites were picking up strange orbs in the sky and there was a drone in the area, there's probably that makes sense that they might send something up there to see what the fuck it is. Like that could be a thing.
Yeah.
So,
you know, I mean, there's these whatever
satellites.
No, these orbs.
Yeah,
have been picked up on other shit. I mean, they're on Navy planes, stuff. You know, like fighters have seen them, and we've seen those videos, and no one can explain what they are. They've seen them going down into the water, coming out of the water. So I don't know what it is. You know, people say, "Ah, it's just nothing. Yeah, it's nothing."
Well, it freaked me out if I looked at the plane and I saw 3 orbs circling the plane going as fast as I would. That might freak me the fuck out. And if I was the pilot, I might make a U-turn as well. I'm out of here, baby. But it's weird though, Jim, that they say they could pick up the plane's transponder 6 hours later. But is that just hibbity jibbity talk to make the masses happy because they can't explain what the fuck happened? Yeah, I mean, then you start getting really deep in the conspiracy. Like they got to cover this shit up, Julio.
I agree with you, Dave. Appears saw orbs in front of my plane, I'd spin that bitch around. But I would say something to air traffic control.
If they didn't block communication.
Oh, all right. That's true.
Right? If they have the technology to do that, who the hell knows? Maybe they got technology to, you know, just jam their communications. Who knows?
Do we all agree they should stop spending money trying to find this plane? I mean,
yeah, there's nothing to find. The plane's gone. It's like somebody said earlier, this is the real life lost. I think it was Alistair said this is like, yeah, this is flight, maybe the real life lost plane. Yeah. Like it's just gone.
Reflected on surrounding clouds. This showcases complex physics interactions between the light blast and cloud layers. The appearance of this well-timed hole, along with the visible cloud deformations from the explosion, constitutes an incredibly meticulous level of detail. Incorporating such nuanced atmospheric effects lends further credibility to the footage showcasing advanced visuals beyond casual hoaxing efforts. If all this wasn't enough proof, a third video came to light that appears to capture the same event from yet another angle. The potential emergence of more classified footage adds to the credibility of an extraordinary event being captured from multiple recording platforms, and reinforces that advanced military assets may have been tracking and documenting the bizarre occurrence. So where did this footage come from? The source of these perplexing videos appears to be a murky YouTube user named Regicide Anon. This uploader published the footage months after its stated date of receipt, before their account mysteriously vanished without a trace. Regicide Anon's video descriptions reference classified sources providing the videos in mid-2014, coinciding closely with MH370's March disappearance. They also posted other aerial footage claimed to be leaked military material around the same time frame. Curiously, all evidence of Regicide Anon's existence has been scrubbed from the internet, with only the videos themselves persisting on archive sites. Neither the original user nor their full YouTube account is recoverable through searches or caches. Only breadcrumbs remain in the form of references to their channel's vanished content. The original videos went unnoticed at first, only gaining viewership or recognition when they re-emerged in 2023. This complete erasure of Regicide Anon's online footprint adds an extra layer of intrigue. If part of an elaborate hoax, Why remove all traces of the clever ruse's creator? The meticulous elimination of the account fuels speculation that a calculated cover-up of the video's true origins is afoot. Some posit Regicide Anon may have been a genuine whistleblower who exposed classified footage and paid the price through systemic deletion. But without the full truth of their identity and motives, the original uploader remains an inscrutable player in this mystery. Their conspicuous absence only deepens the cryptic aura surrounding the videos. The mysteries surrounding these eerie videos may never be fully solved. Their origins, authenticity, and implications provoke endless questions that elude definitive answers. Yet the act of sharing this footage, analyzing details, and crowdsourcing insights represents a grassroots quest for truth at its purest. Out of darkness, light is shed. And inch by inch, we edge closer to revelations that once seemed unthinkable.
Inch by inch, Julio.
How about
inch by inch? That was good, Jim. Who is this guy? The Relic?
The Relic?
Yeah. He's very you know what I'm saying? He's got this very good tone of like, the truth is out there, baby. We're gonna find it.
He starts in left field, so to speak.
Sure. Yes. Yeah, they did find Amelia Earhart's plane.
Is that right?
Oh yeah.
She got eaten with Joe Biden's uncle.
Yep. Eaten by crabs. They fucking got her ass. Yeah, that was messed up. But I saw a video, but it's way too long. I don't want to watch that. They're all long, and
why don't we finish watching the video Julio had?
Yeah, he took it down. So
I can put it back up.
Well,
you want?
I do. It's good.
I got a 2-minute video of lithium-ion batteries catching on fire. If you want that.
Oh yeah. Oh yeah.
You want that?
Yeah. I want to see solar farms start catching on fire. Because they're fucking growing like crazy here in Illinois. They're putting them up everywhere. Yeah. So Corridor Crew YouTube channel debunks that video. Yeah, everybody debunks everything. Everybody, like,
well, nature abhors a vacuum. So when nobody knows what the answer is, everybody thinks they're fucking Inspector Clouseau.
Right.
Well,
the thing about that is those videos were put out. Those videos were all put out like within a couple months of the plane going down.
10 years ago. Yeah, it's not like it's
so
not like
videos, and they're saying they were out there. It was just nobody saw them.
I thought I remembered the popular theory was that Russians shot it down. Wasn't that when
the popular theory was it went into a black hole. That's what Don Lemon said.
Yeah. Oh yeah, that was brilliant. That was
the crew might have been incapacitated by a sudden or gradual loss of cabin pressure. For instance, when Helios Airways Flight 522 failed to pressurize in August of 2005, the pilots quickly fell unconscious.
Julio. Ben Togel. Solar farms are great. Free energy. What are you talking about? It's not free, dude. They're not going to give you free energy from solar farms. They're not putting up solar farms so that the people can have free energy. And they're not going up for free either. Trust me, when ComEd is putting up solar farms, they're raising our rates on fucking regular fossil fuel energy until they pay for this shit. Or whoever's putting them up, Jim.
It's not free. That's just like saying that all the energy from wind is free. The energy from water is free from from dams, and the energy that comes out of the ground is free because it's just there in the ground. You just got to get it. It's the same thing. You have to spend money to get it. You have to buy the solar panels. You got to install the solar panels. You got to hook them up to stuff and batteries. And
if solar was free, why do I have to still have an electric connection to my fucking utility provider where I live? If my solar panels can provide enough with my battery backups to give me power all the time, why am I required to be part of the fucking grid? Fuck off. It's all a fucking scam.
Don't you have to sign a contract?
Yeah.
And that contract does not stop if you drop dead, is what I've heard. Or if you sell the house.
And that contract, they usually do like a 20-year payment plan on the solar panels, and the solar panels only have a 10-year life.
Right.
So you're still paying for them 10 years after they don't work.
And they got to be replaced. Yeah. And then it takes about 20 years for you to fucking actually get enough power back into the grid for you to start being able to sell into the grid. It's a fucking nightmare scam, dude. Yep. God. And the wind farms are even worse. They're worse. And they do terrible shit to nature. It's awful. Raise chickens or rabbits in the fenced areas. Yeah, of course. Yes, we should. Absolutely, Elemental. Just start chicken farms on all these solar panel and wind farms. Ugh. All right. Energy cannot be created or destroyed. It can only be changed from one form to another. Right. No, it's not, Ben. Do you know how much land they fucking take away to put up these solar farms? A ton. They take away a lot of land, and I don't even know how much power that grid that they put in an area even produces. They don't tell us any of this shit. It's not like we're putting up this 10-acre fucking solar farm. It's enough to power your Tesla for the week. Whatever, dude.
It's a good idea in theory, but nuclear power is the...
Nuclear is the cleanest, safest energy ever created. And the cheapest. So, all right, go ahead, Julio.
Got it.
Yet the aircraft continued to fly on autopilot for more than 2 hours until it ran out of fuel. Airline pilots are of course trained for such an event. In the event of cabin depressurization, an automatic system is designed to deploy oxygen masks to give the pilots enough time to perform an emergency descent to a more breathable altitude. The data recorded by the Malaysian military radar does indeed contain altitude information, but it is highly inconsistent. In fact, the Boeing 777 is incapable of performing the extreme altitude fluctuations recorded. At one point, the aircraft exceeded its maximum operating altitude by more than 15,000 feet, before making a 50,000 feet nosedive in less than a minute. Attempts to recreate these maneuvers on a flight simulator were unsuccessful, and thus the data was deemed inaccurate and unreliable. If Flight 370 did lose cabin pressure at 35,000 feet, and the pilots were incapacitated before descending to a more oxygenated altitude, it might explain why the aircraft remained aloft for as long as it did. What is a bit more difficult to explain, however, are these alterations in heading. Flight simulations have established the aircraft must have been under manual control during the initial left turn, as the bank angle or inclination of that turn was beyond the limits of the autopilot. Subsequent turns, however, could have been either manual or automatic. But for the autopilot to have made these course corrections, someone with the requisite knowledge must have programmed it to do so. The only other alternative is that the aircraft was in fact under manual control. In late June of 2014, several news outlets reported that a special investigation had identified the captain of Flight 370 as a prime suspect. A search of the captain's home had uncovered a flight simulator which supposedly contained a suspicious route which ended in the southern Indian Ocean. At the time, there was no official acknowledgement that such a route had been recovered, and a lengthy public report issued by the Malaysian government in 2015 made no mention of such a discovery. Then, in 2016, confidential documents pertaining to a forensic examination conducted by the Royal Malaysia Police in May of 2014 was leaked to the media. These documents made it clear that such a route had not only been recovered, but thoroughly examined. Soon thereafter, the Malaysian government confirmed the existence of this simulated flight path, and this is what it looks like. It should come as no surprise that many regard this as damning evidence of premeditation, but according to investigators, it is not quite so evident. The data recovered consists of 7 coordinates, 2 in Kuala Lumpur, 2 in the Strait of Malacca, 1 in the Bay of Bengal, and 2 in the southern Indian Ocean.
So what this video tells me is nobody knows what the fuck happened, right?
Exactly.
Away from this?
Right. And the other thing too, it ain't beyond anybody to plant evidence on an electronic device to try and put guilt on somebody. You know what I mean? I mean, why? They got no answers, dude. So, you know.
So the question is, why would they want to, quote, shoot this plane down or take it out?
And why would this pilot want to take, I mean, like, I don't know. From what I could tell, the pilot seemed to be well liked. Didn't seem to have a history of any mental illness or anything. This was a regular flight for him. He was like one of their most experienced pilots that did this flight the most often. So
it just 27 years experience.
Yeah, it just makes no sense. And for a guy to be playing on his flight simulator with crazy routes just to see how it would be to fly it, whatever, dude. He's bored of flying to fucking Beijing every goddamn night at midnight. Like, okay, I want to try something different. Because a lot of fucking pilots have flight simulators in their house just to you know, keep up what their job is.
I don't know. Those two people that had squirrely passports. That's what I'm sniffing here.
Yeah.
The data was reconstructed from a file that had been automatically generated and saved by the simulation software a month before the incident. However, it's not clear whether the coordinates originate from the same flight session. In other words, it might not be correct to simply trace a continuous line between these 7 coordinates, as they could be from separate sessions. The forensic examination by the Royal Malaysia Police simply concluded no activity captured conclusively indicate any kind of premeditated act pertaining to the incident of MH370. Even so, the similarities between the simulated route and the presumed route of Flight 370 directly influenced the search operation.
Right.
Australian investigators considered the possibility of someone deliberately extending the range of the flight by gliding the aircraft off the fuel exhaustion. If so, the plane could have traveled an additional 200 kilometers. Alternatively, the range could have been reduced by a controlled ditching prior to fuel exhaustion. While ultimately deemed unlikely, these two scenarios did affect the search effort. If
they didn't know what affected it, Julio, is they didn't know where to fucking go. That's right. Like, they don't have no clue. They lost it on satellites. They lost it with the radar. They don't have a fucking clue what happened to this plane. So impeding it was just, they didn't know where to start.
Is it possible that you could put this into the, quote, shit happens category? Like that there was no crazy conspiracy, or that it just...
It's just kind of wild, Julio, that nothing's been found. Like, they say one piece of a wing part they found on an island. You know, I don't remember the name of the island, but they found a piece there. But that piece could have just broken off. I mean, it's
Reunion Island. Well, Jim said, or you guys said that, I don't know, some cat rolled up, and every time he hit a beach,
he's kind of been been discredited by a lot of people. They're like, yeah, whatever, dude. And like full-time investigators couldn't find anything that do this shit for a living, and you're just you're the American adventurer. That's your job. That's what you claim your job is.
Did they go into him on the Netflix show, Dave?
Yeah.
Him? Okay.
Yeah, they go into him on the Netflix show. Yeah.
With the intention of crashing in a remote part of the southern Indian Ocean, his motive is an even greater mystery. Zahari Ahmad Shah was 53 and married with 3 children. He had more than 18,000 hours of flight experience and a spotless track record. Investigators found no evidence of financial issues, and his monthly expenses before the disappearance indicated nothing unusual. He had no history of mental illness, nor had he displayed any recent changes in lifestyle or behavior. He was raised on the island of Penang, which has led some to speculate the flight's second turn to the southwest of Penang was the captain getting a final view of his hometown. Some believe a hijacking could have been politically motivated.
That's a bit of a stretch.
Oh my God.
I don't think the pilot's just going to go, well, I know this is the flight path, but I'm going to roll over here so I can see
I can wave bye to my mom and dad as I'm crashing my fucking plane into the Indian Ocean.
Right.
Okay. Maybe. I mean, speculation is speculation.
Who knows?
I don't.
That Sahari was an avid supporter of a Democratic opposition leader who was sentenced to 5 years in prison mere hours before Flight 370 took off. Others point to unconfirmed reports of marital issues, but this is contradicted by the official investigation and disputed by family members. The only real inconsistency noted by the final report is that the captain failed to repeat the assigned radio frequency during the last verbal communication.
Malaysian 370, contact Ho Chi Minh 120.9. Malaysian 370.
It would have been standard procedure to repeat the assigned frequency as the captain had correctly done a few minutes prior.
370, contact Lampu Radar 13269. Alright, 1326 Malaysian 370.
Whether this omission is indicative of anything but a mistake is anyone's best guess. By all accounts, Captain Sahari was an affable and well-respected pilot who was passionate about aviation, as evident by the photos and videos he shared on social media.
Hi everyone, this is a YouTube video that I've made as a community service.
The co-pilot was found to be even less conspicuous. Farik Abdul Hamid was only 27, and due to marry a fellow pilot, he had nearly 3,000 hours of flight experience, although only 39 hours in this type of aircraft. Much like Sahari, Farik had no financial, mental, or interpersonal issues of note, nor was there any evidence of conflict between the two of them. Some questioned the plausibility of a pilot-instigated hijacking due to the apparent lack of interference by the other pilot. Well, when Ethiopian Airlines Flight 702 was hijacked by the co-pilot in February of 2014, he did so by merely waiting for the captain to take a bathroom break before locking the cockpit door behind him.
See,
makes sense. Yeah,
that's where I'm going. Those two passport boys and this co-pilot with 40 hours of flight. That's kind of where I'm going with this.
Yeah. Yep.
Captain hits the head. Co-pilot, you know.
Oh, well, yeah, Jib's mad about fucking buying Photoshop. You missed that, sweet tooth. He's got a he said, did he miss anything good? Jim's angry. Jim's angry tonight.
What do you mean, do you miss anything good? What the fuck is that? All right, we got 4 more minutes in the video.
Co-pilot was then free to divert the Italy-bound flight to Switzerland to seek asylum. The only noteworthy piece of evidence in regards to the co-pilot of Flight 370 is his phone. You see, when the confidential documents were leaked, they also confirmed another long-circulated rumor, namely that the cell phone tower had briefly established a connection with an iPhone 5S belonging to the co-pilot as Flight 370 approached the island of Penang. According to investigators, it was not a phone call as has been widely reported by the media, but merely an automatic location signal. Why this information was omitted from public reports, we may never know. So what is one to make of all of this? On the one hand, the simulated flight path seems suspicious. On the other, it is difficult to cast any substantial doubt on either of the two pilots' character. It is equally difficult to deny a hijacking is consistent with the available evidence. Then again, we're missing some quite major and literal pieces of evidence. The final report issued by the Malaysian government in 2018 could not attribute the loss of communication nor diversion of Flight 370 to a malfunction. Instead, it is believed that someone manually manipulated the aircraft and its systems. For instance, investigators believe SATCOM was manually disabled by a sudden and prolonged interruption of power. Then, once power was restored, the terminal simply rebooted. Likewise, the alterations in heading are believed to be the result of manual inputs. With that being said, the uncertainty of these findings are repeatedly emphasized due to the limited evidence available, and the report does never explicitly state the flight was hijacked.
That's just speculation on their part. I do have something to present the chat. Liquid Blake said it again. Did you see this, Jim?
Yep.
What the fuck? I lost my mojo. Oh my God. Thanks, Liquid Blake. I love seeing Jim as Myers. I don't know how he does it, man. The face swap stuff. It's pretty good. What do you think, Jim?
It's got to be like using some kind of AI or something.
He's not using Adobe.
He said he's using Google AI face swap stuff.
Oh, yeah?
Yeah. It's pretty cool. Pretty cool. All right. Go ahead, Julio. Disturbing. Of course it is. Oh, I better present
Indian
it.
Ocean, but that the cause is indeterminable without the wreckage, the location of which has managed to elude some of the foremost aviation experts in the world, as well as an impressive arsenal of cutting-edge technology for more than half a decade. Authors, aviation experts, and independent investigators have all chimed in to offer their own thoughts and theories as to the nature of the crash and the location of the wreckage. Some believe there was no crash, but that the aircraft was shot down by an American naval base in the middle of the Indian Ocean. The satellite transmissions were then supposedly forged as part of a massive cover-up. Others believe the aircraft turned right towards India and traveled as far north as Kazakhstan, completely undetected. Debris was then supposedly planted along shorelines of southeastern Africa.
This plane's all over the fucking place.
Well, I mean, if the plane was actually hijacked, Julio, and they took a bunch of fucking prisoners, I don't know why they would do that if they didn't hold them for ransom. Unless I don't understand it, unless they just killed everybody except for maybe those technicians that worked for that microchip company. I have no fucking clue. But then you could just take a bunch of parts off the plane and throw it in the ocean later, right? And then let people find what they want to find. It's or like you said, shit happens. The fucking plane's in the bottom of the ocean, and guess what? Those flotation devices didn't send the transponders back up to the top, or it hit a fucking mountain somewhere in the middle of nowhere, and they'll find it in 40 years somewhere in the Himalayas. You know what I mean? It's just stuck in a mountain somewhere.
Yep.
As part of a massive cover-up. Another theory suggests the aircraft was remotely hijacked and controlled by someone on the ground. While Boeing and other companies have experimented with technology that would allow for an aircraft to be remotely controlled, no commercial airliner is known to be outfitted with such a system.
Don't mean shit.
On the less conspiratorial side, the assumption that Flight 370 flew in a straight line and at a constant speed after turning left towards the southern Indian Ocean might simply be incorrect. In early 2018, a French team of independent investigators proposed an alternate flight path, whereby an attempted landing on Christmas Island led to a crash site much further north than the region identified by the official investigation. While a surface search of this area was conducted about a week after the disappearance, the underwater phase never reached this far north. As of the making of this video, the search operation has been suspended.
So that's interesting, and that's a very good video by Lemino. Jim, they said they did a surface search like fairly quickly. You would think something might be floating on top of the ocean if it was that big a plane. You'd think they'd find something. Dan Blackroyd said he made that meme with Photoshop just to piss Jim off.
Good.
What do we got here?
Oh, this is just a picture to show you the size difference when we talk about solar flares and all this stuff. And you go, oh, look, it's a tiny. Look at the size of the Earth here.
Sure.
Compared to the sun. So when you see those solar flares that look like, oh, it looks like that, and then oh, well, shit, look at the Earth, and then, Jupiter and our moon is tiny, Pluto, Mercury, Venus.
So, I mean, Mercury must just have no electromagnetic field, right?
I don't know.
It's it's just getting blasted all fucking day.
Yeah.
And it's so goddamn close. I mean, and then what is it? Venus after that? No,
Yeah,
it's
but Dan, wouldn't everything else have grown just as much too? Because if the Earth grows, wouldn't the Sun also grow, and Jupiter and Saturn?
I know, right?
And your
Quigs.
anus.
Where's the Don Lemon black hole theory? I'd play it, but it's a CNN thing, and they'll fucking ding the show. There's got to be a black hole meme of Don Lemon, though. Chupacabra. It's very true. I'm thinking two things, Julio, or three things.
Mm-hmm.
Maybe those orbs are real. That's one.
Mm.
But that's the bottom of the list. Top of the list, the plane was hijacked and they just took it down like they were suicide bombers or whatever. But again, weird. Why did nobody take credit for it? I mean, all these fucking radicals like to take credit for what they do, unless they weren't radicals, or they just lost pressure and it just drifted out to the Earth. Like, it's tiny compared to the sun, but it's big for us. We just can't locate it.
I agree with your ranking. Although if you want to get into conspiracy territory, I would say those two passport guys and one of the pilots were trying to get somewhere else other than Beijing.
Yeah, but again, both of the pilots seem to be happily married. They didn't have money problems.
Okay.
You know, that's what it said. As far as their reporting, I don't know.
Who investigates that? Are people sitting in their house listening to them argue?
Oh, that's true. I mean, you're right about that, but they can check his bank accounts and see if he's, in financial woes or not. And they said he wasn't. And he didn't make any, he didn't receive or do any unusual transactions in his bank account. Like, if you're going to do that, you might want to get paid and leave your wife and kids some money, or who knows? It was definitely not the CIA or China or Russia. No, wasn't them. They had nothing to do with it, Moss. So, what are you looking up, Jim?
I was looking for more videos.
Oh, the Don Lemon shit. That's I don't think so. He's not yeah. Some of these stories, some of these YouTube videos are really depressing. I don't want to play it, like family members crying and shit. I don't want to see that. What is this? Another take on it, Jim?
Yeah, another take on it.
Well, this is a long one.
I'll speed it up.
Who's Eric Hunley?
All right, we are joined today by Ash.
Oh, okay.
He's the guy that does
your
the
boy
stuff that we watch with the Kennedy stuff and the Watergate stuff and
Forbes for what may be my most difficult interview ever, for multiple reasons. Not that Ash of knowledge, etc. How are you doing today, Ash? 6 years old. I apologize ahead, but
March 8, 2014, but disappeared from the radar shortly after and never made it to its destination in Beijing. There was no distress call, no indications of bad weather or technical faults before it vanished.
I think even Don Lemon, has been mocked for statements that he's made about it.
What if it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error? But what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about that, about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at this.
Where'd you go, Dave?
I'm right here.
Did you hear that?
Yeah, the black hole.
Yeah, there's your buddy.
It's your
you
buddy.
Asked for it. You got it.
No indications of bad weather or technical faults before it vanished.
Well, there's no indications of bat weather, she said. Bat weather. So there was no bats. So the plane did not die from coronavirus.
But yeah, and they were 35,000 feet up, so there's no birds up there that could have fucking gotten their engines or anything, right?
It wasn't Batman and the bat weather and the bat plane.
March 8, 2014, but disappeared from the radar shortly after and never made it to its destination in Beijing. There was no distress call, no indications of bad weather or technical faults before it vanished.
I think even Don Lemon, has been mocked for statements that he's made about it.
Yeah. Whether it was hijacking or terrorism or mechanical failure or pilot error, but what if it was something fully that we don't really understand? A lot of people have been asking about that, about black holes and on and on and on and all of these conspiracy theories. Let's look at this. Noah says, what else can you think about black hole, Bermuda Triangle?
You came on my radar from an individual who studies a lot of body language, statement analysis, and things of that sort. And the fact that he was endorsing you, and as somebody who literally studies liars, makes me go, I should talk to this guy. So what got you on the track of this flight?
Yeah, the first thing I want to say is whether or not I'm right or wrong, I'm definitely not a liar. And I think that I go out of my way to show that by being very active on social media, engaging at every single podcast request that I can accommodate, live streaming, a lot of my initial research,
no
as
offense,
well as almost
Jim.
every night, so that
There's
people
a
can
lot
see
of
that I'm an
liars on
authentic
social
person. Because when
media.
people are liars, like they get caught in a web of lies, and have to be careful about what lie they say here or there. For me, I've always been interested in mysterious plane crashes and trying to figure out how they crash. I like Malcolm Gladwell when he talks about like tipping point and things that, like the type of stuff it takes for accidents to happen. And I remember I followed MH370 10 years ago, and I was never very comfortable with what was going on. There was all this obfuscation around, like every day there was something new. We were finding, oh, we're searching the South China Sea. Now we're searching over in the.
I don't know. This guy talks really fast. Makes me think he's a liar.
Well, hey man, he didn't like it 10 years ago when it happened. He didn't like their search parameters back then. How old were you 10 years ago? 20, dude? You look pretty young. Where's my ISOM hat? I have trash cast hats. Trash cast, baby. And I got my other trash cast hat that Jim's wearing tonight. So
I like the trucker hat better.
It does fit better, I think. Yeah. Has a better fit on my head too.
Yeah, this one's kind of stretchy. You tighten it up, you put it on your head, and then it just like stretches out. And
see, and then now it's all of a sudden in the South Indian Ocean.
Like he claims he's on social media, he's out there, so he's not a liar. Oh man, that's rich. That is rich.
And even before I got really involved in this last year, I knew the United States government must know more about what happened to this plane. I knew our surveillance capabilities. I didn't know exactly what they were back then, but they must be pretty advanced. So when I saw the MH370 videos reemerge on the social media site Reddit last year, I was very intrigued because I had remembered seeing the drone video back in 2014 when I was just a casual observer of the disappearance of the plane. And like many people even now, I had dismissed it. I thought that has to be fake. I didn't know how it could be fake, but I just thought it has to be fake. And the thing that changed my mind right away was when I saw the second video. I didn't realize there was a second video that was in perfect synchronization with the first, that there's no discrepancies on a single frame in either video. And that's the part where something this incredible deserves to be investigated, especially because of the implications of it. And the part where I started to get really, let's say, activist about it is when we realized that I had been looking at the videos independently while the Reddit community and social media community on Twitter and 4chan even actually were looking into all the details. And I had noticed that it wasn't somebody who had filmed the drone or the satellite video with a camera. It wasn't someone sitting there with a camera filming it. You didn't see the computer screen like you often see on some of these leaks. It was actually somebody who had cropped the screen. And we could tell because you could see this mouse come in from the top right and go off the screen on the bottom left, which indicates we're looking at a cropped field of view. And I thought, wow, that's a weird detail to add if this is a hoax video. And at the same time, the people on social media figured out that the mouse itself was at 24 frames per second. And the background is only 6 frames per second, which is indicative of a remote terminal Citrix session. Somebody actually logged in to a real database. So if people don't know what that means, is that when you work for a big company, what you normally do is you log in using Citrix to their environment to access their databases. And this is exactly how we imagine we're able to deduce that the spy satellite system works. Is it's a ground-based computer system that pulls satellite data all the time and is building a rendered 3D environment that people can then use to track missiles, planes, boats, anything the military wants to track. And when I saw that, I went, wow, I was like, this is like, that to me was already like hard evidence that what we're looking at here is real, and how anyone could even imagine faking that.
A couple things. Real quick, Citrix essentially is acting as a dump terminal to a mainframe. And in the case of satellite footage or whatever, there would be a server farm or something of that sort, probably collecting the data, and nobody would be directly logged into it. They would all be going in through windowing or Citrix sessions, I believe is what you're describing. Now, really quickly, before we get too deep into the videos and things like that, let's just step back. Can we talk about what is the narrative of the flight?
Well, there's the official story is that we don't know what happened to the plane. If you go look it up right now, that's the official story is they just don't know, which is pretty damn odd. Planes don't just disappear. Not in 2014 with all the surveillance capabilities that we have out there. But the narrative that most people are familiar with is this idea that the pilot took control of the plane and flew it into the South Indian Ocean, which is easily disproved. It's not even necessarily something the pilot can actually do, which is make a plane go entirely dark. The officials have actually ruled out the pilot, saying they're not under the impression it's something that could be pulled off by them. The pilot's mental health screen was clean. The families supported him. The coworkers said he's a great guy. So yeah, the situation as well with the flight path is that if you're going to crash a plane or suicide a plane, you just crash it. If you look up other incidents where it happened, like the Germanwings incident in 2015, the guy locked out the co-pilot and crashes the plane in under 10 minutes. When you look at the flight path, you see that this flight turned around and it went directly to Penang, which is the closest airport that you would go to land a Boeing 777. In addition to that, the flight simulator data, people think, oh, well, he practiced this route. The FBI and Malaysian government ruled out the simulator data. Even more so, we can prove that it's not true because we looked at the simulator data, and there's analysis out there. If you just Google MH150, it turns out that it was literally MH150 from Kuala Lumpur to Jeddah that he was practicing on February 2nd and February 3rd. He was scheduled to fly that route February 4th. And so what some of these, I use the term journalist very loosely here. Some of these investigators into the case originally falsely compared that that flight path, because it goes northwest, to part of the flight path of what the plane actually took, and they say, "Oh, this proves that he was practicing that," but that's a lie. So this goes to show that there is some major mystery around this, and only a few countries have the capability to obfuscate to this level. This is why I say that this is potentially the biggest conspiracy ever, because you look at this, and the real story of the plane is one of a fire event. The flight path going to Penang, 500 pounds of lithium-ion batteries, 19 witnesses that either see the plane on fire, hear loud noises, see the plane descending, consistent with what you would do in a fire scenario, or Catherine T., who's in the Nicobar Islands and sees the plane glowing orange, flying low with smoke coming out of the back of it. All these witnesses had to be discredited in order to come up with this cover story of it going to the South Indian Ocean.
Okay, can you define the fire event?
Yeah. So right away, one of the things that sticks out is you find out that the Malaysian CEO lied on March 13th, saying there was no dangerous cargo on board the airplane. And then it wasn't until March 20th, 2014, where they admitted that there was at least 500 pounds of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo bay. These have been outlawed since then in the passenger.
Why were they there?
Well, that's a good question. Presumably, they're being shipped to Beijing. But that's the big question: is that if you are a believer of the narrative and story that I've put forth, this.
I thought all these batteries are made in China. Why the fuck would they be shipping them to China?
I was just getting ready to say, pause it. Like, what? I mean, I know Malaysia makes stuff too, but why would China be importing batteries that they make in China? It doesn't make any sense. That's weird. Like, but maybe they weren't lithium-ion batteries, Jim. Maybe there was something different, and that's just what they put on the manifest. Who knows? But like, so yeah, is it actually illegal to ship lithium-ion batteries in planes now?
Yeah,
but that's not true, because they ship phones all the time with FedEx and with UPS and all that shit. Maybe it's passenger planes that they can't ship them on.
Yeah, I don't know. I know they have to put warnings on them now, like basically.
Oh yeah, you have to have a sticker on the box. Hit the J button. I'm gonna just one time. I want to hear if he says passenger or just planes.
The Malaysian CEO lied on March 13th, saying there was no dangerous cargo on board the airplane. And then it wasn't until March 20th, 2014, where they admitted that there was at least 500 pounds of lithium-ion batteries in the cargo bay. These have been outlawed since then in the passenger.
Why were they there?
Well, that's a good question. Presumably they're being shipped.
In the passenger.
In passenger planes.
Okay, well, that's fine. That I believe. But again,
to Beijing.
Still don't understand importing batteries to China from Malaysia. Still don't get that one. Don't understand that.
Unless they were buying some batteries that they wanted to copy. So they were importing them so that they could make copies of them.
Yeah. But everybody can have a lithium-ion battery in their cell phone. If there's 200 people on a plane with lithium batteries, it's still it's a potential disaster.
They think that you'll see the fire and you'll see it in the cabin and know it's a problem. Maybe, I don't know.
Yeah.
Beijing. Yeah. But that's the big question, is that if you are a believer of the narrative and story that I've put forth, this was some type of espionage event, and these batteries have a very specific purpose, which is to ignite at that certain point and divert the plane back the other direction, potentially towards the rendezvous point that we see in the MH370 videos. It's very suspicious that you have these very extremely dangerous batteries that managed to miss 2 security screenings on board this plane. We found out that 2 pallets of them were also in the forward cargo bay right next to the MEC, the main equipment center, also known as the electronics bay. So you imagine if those batteries exploded and ignited, it could have easily damaged the electronics bay, causing this plane to go dark. I was always suspicious of those batteries. And it wasn't until I found out about Catherine T that we were able to piece it together, because Catherine T sees a glowing orange plane.
Who the fuck told him where these were on the plane when they couldn't catch him on a scan? How does he know where they were sitting inside the cargo bay of the plane? It doesn't make sense. This is when people say shit like this, I lose my mind. Like, dude, you're just saying this because it helps your fucking narrative. I don't know. Nothing's better than Chinese product, Ben Togel. You know that. The Malaysians, they can't make a better battery than the Chinese. Have you ever shopped on that site Temu, Jim?
No.
Yeah, apparently it's cheap as fuck. Nah, but they wouldn't have labeled them that because they were like illegal cargo, Ben. And they missed it on 2 scans. So that's weird too, Jim. If they know that it's illegal and they're kind of like shipping it illegally on this plane, how would they even know they were there? Because they haven't found the plane. How do they know there were batteries on this plane? Because somebody said so? Did one fall out of a fucking crate? Who the fuck knows? Yeah, how do they I just don't get this. Like the guys loading the plane, fuck, dude. They're loading planes all day. You think they're paying attention to where they put pallets on planes on every fucking plane? They admitted it later. Everything on Temu is utter shite quality. Yes. Don't tell Julio that though. That's where he bought his mic, and his mic is good. He bought his Chinese mic from Temu, guys. So we'll give Julio a break on the mic. Now we'll see how long it lasts. Go ahead, Jim. Sorry. Did I lose you?
What?
So go ahead.
Oh, I didn't hear you.
You are lost in space tonight, dude.
Well, the Halon 1301 fire extinguishing devices have bromine in them, which is a halogen gas. If you go look at a halogen lamp and compare it to Catherine T's sightings from her old blog posts, you'll see it's a perfect match of a halogen lamp. So the idea here is that the Halon fire extinguishing devices, which can last for up to 3 hours, were battling this cargo bay fire. And there was a chemical reaction that's releasing bromine for an hour, enough so that Catherine T sees this glowing orange halo around the plane. To me, the fire scenario is indisputable. And the only reason why the experts have all dismissed it is because they've all believed that these satellite pings that say that the plane went into the South Indian Ocean must be accurate. But we looked all up and down the 7th arc where these experts used a novel analysis to determine where the plane must have gone. And we didn't find anything. We didn't find one piece of the plane down there. We didn't find any black boxes. We found absolutely nothing. I looked at the satellite pings myself, and you can see right at 1840 UTC, when this plane is in the Nicobar Islands, the data after that is only 10 rows of data for the next 5 hours. Before that, it's hundreds of rows.
Why is that significant that there's few rows and versus many
so
rows?
The experts would say that the ACAR system was turned off at 1707,
Gotcha.
which is about 10 minutes before the plane goes dark.
What is the ACAR system?
I never heard
ACAR is
of
the tracking
AliExpress.
system that
Have
they
you,
use on
Jim?
computers in order to the flight management system, I believe.
I think you said about Alibaba Express or something. It's Alibaba AliExpress.
You ever used it?
No.
Didn't that guy go missing?
Yeah, it's like the Chinese.
He's like a Chinese gazillionaire, right? And he just disappeared him.
Yeah, they disappeared him.
Did he make a comeback yet with like a different attitude?
Maybe.
Weird. It's weird. Julio had to leave, so.
Well, let's take a short break for a Mike Partika update.
Mike Partika, is he going to slam you?
I don't know.
Ethan Van Sciver retweeted my video on gooding the polymath and how it broke my brain. Why he's calling me Eric July's biggest supporter, I have no idea, but in any case, I'm glad he retweeted this. Superman, or Captain Comics 24, asks in response, now the question is, did you hire Mike Barron to sabotage the book? Ethan replied, I heard that being said, and although it's funny, it's also extremely rude to Mike Barron. He's a gifted writer who did the best he could with the material he was given. He's a pro, but gooding is just not a good concept for a comic book. Bull fucking shit. If you are a pro, you can write a sucky concept into a badass comic. Just look at what Alan Moore did with Swamp Thing, or Supreme, or practically everything he touched. Look, either the Rippaverse editors turned Mike's script into a steaming pile of horseshit, or Mike deliberately delivered them a steaming pile of horseshit, or Mike's talent has deteriorated to the point where we may as well just call him the Joe Biden of comics. Ethan.
Wow, that was harsh.
He called Ethan the Joe Biden of comics?
Mike Barron.
Wow. Wow, that's not nice. Everybody's mad at Gooding. They're mad at more mad at Gooding than anything, Jim.
I don't understand. I thought it was a decent comic.
I mean, shit. So
I mean, he's almost tempted me to just pull the book out right now and we can go through it and read it together page by page.
No, we can't. BLT, does Ally really have better quality stuff? than that Temu site? Is Temu going to turn into an Amazon? Like Amazon was a book site. Is Temu going to do all the good stuff till they make enough money to where you can get better products and then charge real pricing and memberships and all that shit?
I don't know. You want to jump back into this?
Yeah, it's fine.
No,
no, it's fine. Do you believe this guy? Do you think
I don't know what his theory is.
Agenda is like.
I haven't heard what his theory is yet.
The batteries caused the fire. He
thinks the batteries, but he thinks the batteries were planted there on purpose to cause the plane to divert and do something. Is what I've heard so far.
Oh, BLT. That's all Is it Alibaba Express or just AliExpress? I love electronics and components, and Jim does too. So he says, if you're looking for that, it's absolutely a great site. So AliExpress. Don't go shopping now, Jim, please.
Okay.
FML is a different one, but the ACARS is basically the computer system that's pinging nonstop and sending this data. But the data from 1707 to 1840, where the plane is then over the Nicobar Islands, is full. Hundreds of rows of data out there that you can watch. You scroll down through it. But then once you get to 1840, the next ping is 1941. It's just 2 rows of data. Then 2041, 2 rows of data. 2141 until 2315. And there's also a pattern in that data. It seems to change. Like if anyone's familiar with databases or Excel spreadsheets, you can look at that right away and go, this seems odd. All of a sudden, the data becomes very sparse. And I've confronted the experts and said, why is this change right here? And they say, well, the ACAR system was turned off. And I go, well, but the ACAR system was turned off at 1707, not at 1840. So why is the data full up till that point?
Because I'm lost on that.
Sure.
If it was off, there should be no rows, right?
Well, that's the thing that's also unclear. Like I can't get a straight answer from the supposed experts about what we would expect if it's off or if it's on. What I can say is that if the argument is that it was turned off at 1707, then I expect consistency in the data between 1707 and the time after that. And that there's not. The inconsistency happens at 1840. So if there was some explanation for why this should have changed at 1840, I would expect the ACAR system to have been turned off at 1840 or some other event to have happened at 1840. The point being, when you look at the flight path and you see this plane flying up to Beijing, cut back across Malaysia, go to Penang, and then it goes up the Malacca Straits and Nicobar Islands, and then all of a sudden it takes a sharp turn down. The point where you see this deviation in the data is the exact point where this plane turns down in the South Indian Ocean. The argument that I'm presenting is it just never turned into the South Indian Ocean. You ignore those 10 rows of data where we never found the plane in the South Indian Ocean. And now the obvious scenario is an emergency fire event where this plane ends in the Nicobar Islands. And the reason why that has to be obfuscated is because if that happened, where'd the plane go? Why is there not a plane in the Nicobar Islands? Well, we have 2 videos showing it disappearing in the same location where Catherine T sees it on the ground. And we have a Mayday call only reported in China Times. You guys can find it. It's only in Chinese, not reported in Western media. That claim that China had intercepted a communication from the Thai embassy from Malaysian Airlines MH370 saying that the plane was disintegrating and attempting an emergency landing, which is consistent with 2 videos that we have, as well as the eyewitness testimony from Catherine T in the same location.
Okay, so just so I'm clear on all this, your contention is that the sparse data that actually is there was potentially added after the fact to give a breadcrumbs for the plane to be somewhere else by manipulating the record or doing something, inserting this extra data. That's number one. And then number 2, I guess, is who actually controls that tracking system and who has the capability of turning it on and turning it off, and what are the procedures as to why it would be turned on or off? I would think you would have tracking on all the time.
Yeah, I'm not an expert on those systems, so we'll have to ask the experts if you want to talk to them about how it can be turned off or on or what have you. All I know is that they've argued that it was turned off. The New York Times actually asked the Malaysian Minister of Transport, I think it was the next day, is it even possible for an airplane to go dark? Is that even a thing that you can do, just turn off all the electronic signals? They wouldn't even answer the question.
Is it possible for a 777 to turn off all of its diagnostic information that it regularly sends out? I mean, is that actually technically possible that it would A, disappear from the radar, but also all of this diagnostic information that's routinely sent out would just cease? Is there a button you can press to do that?
I think that is something that we are all like to know the answers as well, and we are investigating on that matter, and we are talking to the experts from the airline. Also, we will get assistance from Boeing, in fact, on this matter. That will be part of the investigation.
Wouldn't it be just a basic question? Can an aircraft disappear?
I just cannot speculate something that we are not sure of. It's better that we get from the right resources, from what is the technicalities of the aircraft. I think we have to be fair to us. We have to look at every angle of this investigation. We just cannot do something very fragmentary or piecemeal investigation.
You can't just simply turn everything off like that. Rolls-Royce engine data should have been transmitting nonstop. Rolls-Royce has never made their information public. In fact, they had come out, a Wall Street Journal article had supposedly talked to Rolls-Royce, and they were making the claim that this plane had still had some engine data that was transmitting and also had to be retracted. To me, it's very obvious that either those pings are falsified, they're either or misinterpreted. I don't know the exact nature of what happened. All I know is that we never found a plane in the South Indian Ocean where those pings supposedly should be able to pinpoint the location of that plane based on this analysis. So, to me, that's the part where I think that if you look at the flight path and you take away those pings out there, that shows that, we have a completely different event on our hands at that point. And just to add to it, we found the surveillance capabilities of the United States government. So we have something called SBIRS system, which is what I was talking about before regarding the ground-based computer systems that have satellites all over the world, scanning the entire world all the time.
SBIRS is the nation's next generation of space-based infrared surveillance. The program has already proven its value with successful GEO payloads on orbit. With deployment of the GEO spacecraft, SBIRS will be an unprecedented resource as the nation's global, taskable, and persistent infrared monitoring sentinel.
We found USA 229,
so
which
that's
is
just
NOS Naval
constant
Ocean Surveillance Spy
monitoring of the
satellite
planet,
in the
Jim?
Malacca Straits at the exact time when Malaysia and Airlines Flight 370 was in the Nicobar Islands there, staring down right at the plane. So the United States government knows no doubt whatsoever whether or not this plane turned into the South Indian Ocean or not. Shouldn't even be an issue of a question. We found out about the SOSA system, the sound surveillance system. It uses acoustic detectors. That was the one that heard the Titan sub. They have acoustic systems within Diego Garcia as well as Western Australia. Absolutely would have heard the plane crash. And then we also found out about the over-the-horizon radar, which can see thousands of miles, which means that at least Pine Gap military base and Diego Garcia would have had the capability to track the plane start to finish. Also, the Joran system, Jindali Operational Radar Network, which is in Australia, is supposedly also an over-the-horizon system, over-the-horizon radar system that would have seen the plane if it had gone in the South Indian Ocean. So we know for sure that we would track it. So why did we not find anything down there? And people would say, well, there was some debris. Debris washed up in Africa. Yeah, it washed up in Africa, not Australia, 2,000 to 3,000 miles away. It's actually impossible for most of that debris to have drifted from the supposed crash site in the South Indian Ocean to Africa. And even the flaperon wasn't even connected with a unique serial number. The media doesn't tell you that, but even if that is MH370, that's the scenario I put forth. It's not inconsistent at all. In fact, the flaperon, they did this modeling, but the problem was the flaperon on the model was sticking out of the water like this, and they're like, oh, that's great because we can blow it and it will explain how it got to the Reunion Islands. The problem is there's barnacles on the part that they claim was out of the water, which is impossible.
A piece of wing on Reunion Island. It's very hard to trace back to exactly where it crashed. If you mean exactly within, 10 miles, even 100 miles, you're right. But to say it generally came from the Eastern Indian Ocean is definitely possible.
Marine biologists will take a hard look at the sea life from the age and type of barnacles and microorganisms for clues.
And furthermore, they look at the barnacles, and the barnacles only had 4 months of growth on them, but they claim that the flaperon was in the water for 16 months. So if it was 4 months, there's no way it could have drifted 2,000 miles to get to Reunion Islands. But I have a better location for where that debris could come from. It's called Diego Garcia Military Base, which is halfway from the supposed crash site to Africa. So that's just some additional evidence that I think conclusively shows this plane couldn't have crashed in the South Indian Ocean. The United States government knows exactly what happened to it, and that the more likely location for this plane, if it did crash, I would say somewhere much further west near the Maldives. But I personally believe this plane got to Diego Garcia and potentially was ripped apart.
Now, you said something earlier that sticks in my mind, and I don't know the details on how plane crashes work. But you said,
like
that they said it was disintegrated.
military airspace and maybe got shot down. I mean, maybe, that kind of sounds like to me.
Maybe, I don't know. Maybe he thinks it was why we would want to take the plane and tear it apart and throw it in the ocean unless we were taking people from the plane, like espionage, spies, kidnapping people, and I don't know. We have to listen.
Yeah,
this is getting to be a little woo woo.
No, this is woo woo. Yeah, but I will admit I just looked at this AliExpress. These prices can't be right. They're fucking crazy. Go ahead.
They're like crazy Eddie prices.
Dude, I'm talking about $2.20 for one of those robot floor sweepers. Shit like that.
Possible that
a smartwatch for 99 cents. What the fuck? This can't be true. Go ahead, Jim.
It could have disintegrated to an extremely high degree, and there just was nothing to crash, or very, very little debris left. It just
I think the debris that was found is actually consistent with the disintegration of the fire event. A B777 fire suppression device washed up in the Maldives, has a visible serial number on it. The officials just didn't even address it. They just said, we're not going to look at that. It's not part of MH370. It was actually reported on as a bomb, even though it's obviously a B777 fire suppression device. 20 islanders in the Maldives reported seeing MH370 on a tiny island, only has 3,000 people in the early morning hours, flying south towards Diego Garcia. So I think that the debris that was out there is only consistent with the story that I put forth. None of the other stories are consistent with where the debris showed up. Some of the debris even has visible scorch marks on it. I've showed this as well. It's obviously scorch marks. Like if you put fire to something and you see this scorch mark appear on the debris. So the thing with the fire, people say is, well, it would burn up too quickly. But actually, I think people say that because they haven't looked into how the fire suppression systems work. The fire suppression systems automatically deploy right away, and they'll put out the fire. And lithium-ion battery fires, the issue is that you can put them out, but they just come back up again. It's called thermal runaway.
Now, during a thermal runaway, you start off with a battery failure, a single battery cell. And that cell, you have no chance of extinguishing.
So you have this idea where the automatic suppression system is going to put out the fire, it's going to come back up again, right, and then they have these low rate ones where they then can last for up to 3 hours. So you can imagine a scenario where the automatic ones do high flow rate, they put out the fire, crew is freaking out, they're going to go down there, they're going to start pouring water on it, which is what you're supposed to do for lithium-ion battery fires. You're going to have this chemical reaction happening, and then they're trying to keep that fire at bay as best as they can so the plane doesn't literally fall apart or get holes burnt into it and become destabilized.
The only thing you can do is stop the propagation. In a cascading thermal runaway, you have one cell that fails, it heats up, it thermally damages all the cells around them. They fail. you keep having cells that are in contact with each other fail.
And then they're going to also depressurize the plane because the halon fire extinguishing devices absorb oxygen. It takes oxygen out of the environment. And in fact, it was just recently shown that the turn back, when the plane goes dark and turns back around, they did an emergency descent as well. Some of the experts reanalyzed the radar pings and found that they took an emergency descent, which is exactly what you would do in a fire scenario if you're a pilot. So then that's where I think there was also 8 fishermen on a boat 10 minutes after the plane goes dark that see the plane flying low, which corroborates that again with eyewitness testimony. So to me, it's just undeniable that it was a fire. And then, the only thing you have to, for the story that I put forth, the only thing you have to throw out is those satellite pings where we see this anomalous 10 rows of data. Whether or not the United States government fabricated those, misinterpreted, spoofed them. There's a lot of different theories out there. I don't personally care what they did with it, but what I strongly believe is that the United States government took them about 5 days to come up with a cover story. And on March 13th, the United States unnamed intelligence sources went to the media and said this plane went into the South Indian Ocean. The reason why they did that is they needed to send people on a wild goose chase where they knew they would never find anything down there. And then it wasn't until May 28th, 2014, roughly almost 90 days later, 90 days later, that they Inmarsat finally released the first 47-page report with the raw telemetry data. The problem is the MH370 satellite video that has coordinates in the bottom left that indicate the real location of the plane in the Nicobar Islands where it turned to the South Indian Ocean, that was published on May 19th, 9 days before that data. So unless the person that made these videos has the ability of precognition, there's no way they could have known where to put that plane. They just as easily would have put that plane in the South China Sea or the South Indian Ocean, but why did they put it directly there in the Nicobar Islands? Because that's where the plane ended up.
Okay, some other questions. Okay, so one of the big mysteries of this scenario is the massive amount of lithium ion that was on the plane, which doesn't belong. And I think you did say offhandedly, and I interrupted you, but was it that long after this flight that lithium ion, got limited to only 100 watts or whatever it is, and it had to be on the plane and not in the luggage compartment on planes?
Yeah, they're literally not allowed in the cargo bay of passenger planes at all. And if you go next time you get on a flight, they will ask you when you check your bag if you have lithium-ion batteries in your checked bag. So even a tiny lithium-ion battery like this, they're afraid of. And we're talking about 500 pounds of these things stacked up on one another, unsafely stacked, I would add, because if you go look at the official ATSB report, you'll see these are not safely packaged at all. Just loaded up in cardboard boxes on top of each other on a pallet out there. They were put together that day as well. If you even mail a letter at the post office, they'll ask you.
Jim, I don't buy this bullshit. I do not believe that they have any information about these fucking batteries being packaged a certain way, stored a certain place on the plane. This guy wants to be right, so whatever. Sorry to interrupt, but no Jesus Christ.
It's just a little piece of paper and a letter, just like something I've got like this. They'll say, "Is there any lithium-ion batteries in there?" You're like,
and they've got stickers on the side of the boxes whenever you order from Amazon or wherever.
And some of these planes burnt up. A bunch of planes burnt up between 2010 and 2014 as well. People even now don't realize how extremely dangerous lithium-ion batteries are in the cargo bay of any plane, but let alone passenger ones. So I don't know. We had found evidence that they had outlawed them in 2015, but there's a bunch of different reports out there between like 2015, 2017, where they got much more visibility. If you look up the FAA's website, you'll actually find that even after they've outlawed them in the last 2 years, I think it's like 74 incidents in domestic flights in the United States alone where there's still been fires. Now we're talking about like people's cell phones in the passenger area up above that are like starting on fire, and they have these special bags that they put them in, and then they just pour water on it, and that's how they put them out. So it's happening even now, more than one per week. So these things are extremely dangerous, and anybody who's telling you differently, is potentially just kind of not really aware of all the dangers that are out there.
Okay, so that's the cargo. So the next question would be, and I offhandedly heard you talk about it, what about the passenger manifest, as in who was on this flight of any significance? Were there anybody?
Yeah, and there is. And all this really surprised me because I was just a guy that came into this thinking we're going to find evidence these videos are fake. Nothing's going to line up, that, these videos must have been shot or made to be shot in the South Indian Ocean. I thought that the pings were accurate when I first dug into this. Then we find out about those batteries. We find out that the pings look like extremely sketchy at a minimum. And then we look at the passenger manifest and we find out that there's 20 employees from a company called Freescale Semiconductors, which is an American company. And 8 of the people on board are Chinese nationals and 12 are Malaysian nationals. And when it comes to intellectual property theft, the number one target are Chinese nationals that work for American companies. $600 billion it costs United States companies every single year. Semiconductors and plasma physics are the secret to the technology we see in the videos. In the MH370 videos, we're seeing floating orbs, I call them, superconductive harmonic orbs. But really, it's a plasma field around a smaller object. And if you look at hypersonic weapons, you will find that hypersonic weapons use a plasma sheath in front of them in order to be able to achieve these hypersonic speeds that they do. And I think that what we're looking at in these videos is United States hypersonic weapons. And I don't think it's any coincidence that there's 20 people from this Freescale Semiconductor company that were all supposedly very important people, according to the news reports about them. Way too many people from one company to be on the same plane.
Were they scientists specifically?
Yeah, they were engineers, and supposedly they were going to China to upgrade the plants in China as well. At least that's the cover story. Yeah. There's FSB, which is...
So he's saying that he believes there's a fire, but he also believes that these military orbs were following the plane.
Yeah, his story is he's got like let's say a convoluted story about how the batteries got put on the plane Student of God's in the chat. This content feels like my dad watching Oak Island.
Well, good. Glad you're here, student of God.
But he's got a convoluted theory where he thinks that they put the batteries on the plane purposely. They purposely caused the fire. So the plane would purposely turn around so they can get it over to this area where they were going to attack it, I guess, with these
military.
And I don't know yet where it's going. If it's that they didn't really, that they have the plane and they got these scientists and they forced them to work for the U.S., or that it's that the Rothschild semiconductor inherited their patents because these guys died.
What did he like? Does he explain the flash, or is he just saying that's like?
I don't know. He hasn't got there yet.
Right.
Let's see.
Russia's like FBI report out there that people just thought was disinformation, but it actually already says that the United States Navy took this plane and the Russia doesn't know why, and that China was actually going to divert the plane due to the people on board. And it even speculates that the United States put cargo on the plane for a specific reason that came from the Alabama Maersk, which is famous for the Captain Phelps movie with Tom Hanks in it. And actually 2 Navy SEALs mysteriously overdosed a couple months earlier that were guarding cargo on that boat that were working for a company called Trident. And their story is extremely suspicious. The families related to those SEALs say that they never do drugs, and somehow they both overdose simultaneously. So there's a lot of really, really weird stuff going on here. But one thing I'm sure about is the Freescale semiconductor scientists are connected to this. The story that I put forth is one of espionage or counter-espionage, which is definitely hard to believe, but you can imagine that, especially this is my own government I'm talking about here, and I don't want to think that we are this potentially evil and nefarious, but the evidence, the story that fits the best is one where we set these batteries on this plane, potentially even ignited them at a specific point in time when the plane was at its weak point between radars to have the longest time for people to react, and then diverted that plane intentionally, maybe even took over the plane after it got to Penang because it doesn't land there for whatever reason, and sent it to the rendezvous point where we had our hypersonic weapons ready to, there's not an easy way to put this, warp drive the plane somewhere else. People call it teleportation, but really it's manipulation of space-time itself. And then we warp this plane somewhere to the west, consistent with the right-hand rule when we see these orbs spin around the plane. And when we look at the right-hand rule, the vector direction of the travel is backwards. We see the plane traveling east. That means this plane is going to go to the west. And what's west of the Nicobar Islands? Well, the Maldives are. Exactly the place where the B777 fire suppression device washed ashore, where the 20 islanders saw the plane flying towards Diego Garcia. Diego Garcia is the location where basically every conspiracy theory out there about this plane says this plane ended up. So I can't prove that's where the plane ended up, but it's consistent with where the debris washed ashore. And if I was a betting person, if I'm in Vegas or whatever, I'm putting it all on Diego Garcia, and I'm just saying, okay, flip over your hand. Let me see what you got.
All right, we got ahead because I definitely wanted to dig into that theory. We've let it slip ahead of time, but let's back up another step. The videos that were leaked online, what was the source, or who was the source for these videos?
So we went back to the Wayback Machine because the YouTube channel has been deleted since this has all been uncovered in 2023. The account name was Regicide Anon for the earliest one that we could find. We looked back to find if there were earlier versions. There might be. If so, all traces of them have been wiped out. But Regicide Anon first uploaded the video. It was published May 19th, 2014. The satellite video was. In the description of that video, it says received March 12th, 2014, which is 4 days after the plane disappeared. And it says source protected. We looked at their other videos from their YouTube channel. None of them have information like this in terms of like, some of them say source email submission and things like that. This seems to just be a random UFO account, not necessarily the person who leaked these videos. They just found them somewhere. In fact, there's a higher quality version of the satellite video. The Regicide Anon version is 3D stereoscopic, which means there's 2 videos with slightly different angles, which is what USA 229, the spy satellite we found, has capability of doing, which is a sister satellite right next to it that could do that. But then there's one higher quality video that has just one video without the side-by-side that was published, I believe, in June, somewhere between June and August. I have to find the exact date. But since it's higher quality and you can't make a higher quality video from a lower quality video, this would indicate that neither of these is the original source. People speculated that the videos got published to a forum or the dark web somewhere, and these people picked it up and they uploaded it. The drone video. So we have 2 videos in perfect synchronization, where they're from 2 completely different angles. One is from one side of the plane, angled down like low Earth orbit satellite would look, and then the other one's from the drone, an MQ-1C Gray Eagle, looking horizontally at the plane from the other perspective on the other side.
What was the drone doing there?
Sorry, what?
What was the drone doing there?
Yeah, so this is where, to me, it has to be espionage. It has to be an operation. And if you look at the drone video, you can clearly tell this is an operation because the drone is very close to the plane. This isn't a situation where the drone's seeing the plane in the distance. This drone goes underneath the wake of the plane.
What did he say, Jim?
So,
it has to be
to me, there's like 2
surveillance?
scenarios that make sense. One is...
What?
Did he say it has to be surveillance?
Yeah, he said it was surveillance. The plane was under surveillance. He said it has to be espionage or surveillance or something.
Well, if I'm going to say this, if satellites saw orbs fucking floating around a plane that was going full speed, they might have called a drone out there just to take a look. If that's the case, I think that's why the drone would have showed up. That's just me, though. I don't think the drone was specifically looking for that plane, Jim. Doesn't make sense why it would. Don't know why. I think that, but that's just me. Go ahead.
is that the fire was accidental, and that the United States government was reacting to the fire because this plane is doomed and it's going to try to land in the ocean and rip apart and everybody's going to drown. And that's what I thought for the longest time. But it didn't fit with all the evidence, as well as the story of espionage. The story of espionage would say this event was planned for months, that they knew these people were going to be on this plane. They knew exactly when they were going to be there. They knew they were defecting to China, that China was trying to steal this intellectual property from Freescale Semiconductors, potentially the exact technology used on the plane, and that they had set the assets in the location. Now, there also was the Cobra Gold and Cope Tiger exercises that were going on in that area. So these are yearly exercises that the United States does, military exercises. The theme of the Cope Tiger exercises, which were slated to begin March 10th, just 2 days after this plane disappears, was actually search and rescue that year. I have FOIA'd the Navy for a list of the assets that were in the area because I want to figure out if they have MQ-1C Gray Eagles that were around there that could have been filming it.
Okay, so the drones weren't happenstance. Either way you look at it, you're saying that either, oh my God, we're losing track of this plane, let's fire a drone up there very quickly to see if we can catch what's going on, or the drone was there the whole time surveilling the plane for whatever reason it was surveilling.
Yeah, the drone can't catch the plane, and it doesn't have as high altitude capability as a plane. So it's not a situation where the drone was just randomly there and catching the plane. It was definitely a planned operation one way or another, either a rescue operation or a counter-espionage operation, however you want to think of it. That's really the only stories that make sense regarding the drone video being there and checking it out. We also can tell it's low altitude. Some people say, well, the drone can't fly that high. Can't be real. But we can tell because we see cumulus clouds in both videos that this is a low altitude. This is under 10,000 feet that we're looking at in these videos, which also tells us that we are not seeing contrails come out of the back of the plane. It's literally impossible for those to be contrails coming out of the back of the plane in both these videos. That's smoke coming out of the plane from the lithium-ion battery fire. And some people say, well, you can't see the smoke in infrared cameras, but we're dealing with multi-spectral military-grade cameras here that definitely have the capability to see smoke. It's not like off-the-shelf commercial-grade equipment. We actually even found this Westcam MX25, where there's an example of it from 2015 that shows basically identical video capabilities to what we see in our drone as well. So I think we've essentially identified every asset, identified the cameras. We've even identified how the satellite capabilities work with the Cyber system, the ground-based computers. It actually integrates with real Google Earth, as well as something called Quick Terrain Modeler that was brought to my attention. We looked it up, and the military, DoD, and intelligence communities use this Quick Terrain Modeler and integrate with Google Earth, and this is how they track objects. So we deduced the capabilities and then found out that's actually how they really work.
Okay, so I'm going to circle back again though.
It is scary, Jim, that the government works with Google to fucking put its data on. Like, holy sh!
Trying to get to the point and see the plane
objects.
With the smoke.
Yeah, I mean, I see something here.
Yeah, I saw it. Yeah, I saw it.
All right, hold on. I want to do something here. Let's see.
Objects.
Mute it, yeah.
I want to try and get it to when we can see the explosion real good.
Okay.
I mean, that you don't see any. It looks like almost like an energy burst.
It looks like a void, like it entered a void, like it's just
like
empty space
or something.
Yeah, it's empty space.
Like a black hole. Sorry.
What'd you say, Don Lamont?
Like a black hole, but I mean, you don't see, like, if it was an explosion, you'd think you would see like pieces of the plane flying off apart.
Maybe some fire, because there was this guy's claiming there's a fire that's burning this fucking plane from the inside. So yeah, it's kind of wild. So that looks like what your shrink would tell you to see what you see when you look at this picture. Just saying. Pretty wild. Go ahead, buddy.
Oh, I missed it. Hey, get off your phone.
My son just sent me some pictures.
Are people who could have actually leaked, because I would imagine this is not publicly available information, you know, for a FOIA or anything else. You said there was a screenshot of a Citrix session showing a mouse. It was deliberately cropped. That implies an individual had done this and had put this out there. Do you have any theories or
Not only do I have theories, not only do we have a list, I have the actual guy who leaked these videos. I couldn't believe we found it. So there's people out there that think these videos are fake, that somebody CGI'd them, that these random YouTubers have found assets that match, and somehow that means these videos are fake, but nobody has produced a hoaxer with any evidence, any credible evidence that they made these videos. Meanwhile, I was able to find and identify with an extremely high degree of certainty the guy that leaked these videos. It took a couple weeks, dug around, had to dig through Google, change all the date ranges around, look for people that had been charged with espionage and retention of classified information, dissemination. And then I hit pay dirt. Lieutenant Commander Edward C. Lynn, somebody that nobody really knows about. All the news stories about him are really odd and obfuscated. They won't say exactly what it was that he leaked.
I saw this guy on the fucking Netflix documentary. Yeah, I know. I remember this guy. This guy leaked it all. Apparently.
Well, you know what? If it's true and they have video of the plane, whatever happened to the plane, and I would call this guy a whistleblower, not a leaker.
Well, he dug around for 2 weeks and he figured it out. The whole fucking military didn't figure it out before that. But he dug around, he did some Google manipulation and he was able to find it. Okay. You're a fucking genius, dude. You're smarter than every other cat in the government.
Leaked. They throw random like prostitution charges on a guy that is facing espionage and life in prison to just try to like discredit him that's out there. I FOIA'd the FBI and NCIS. FBI rejected my FOIA for personal information reasons. The NCIS rejected it in total under an Obama era exemption to be kept secret in the interest of national defense or foreign policy. When you look at the videos, you can tell this is a U.S. military personnel is the person that leaked them. There had to probably be an operator because they knew enough about the systems to remove the HUD data. They were trying to protect U.S. intelligence by cropping the satellite video to take out the drone and potentially other assets. They may not even have wanted to leak the drone video, but only leak the drone video because people didn't take the satellite video seriously enough. They probably had an emotional reaction to what they were looking at based on Regicide Anon saying that they received the footage 4 days later. You can imagine somebody looked at a plane disappearing and they go, oh my God, what just happened? I've got to tell the world about this. Otherwise, I'm never going to figure it out. They probably had to convince Regicide Anon that the videos were authentic because Regicide Anon supposedly received this footage on March 12th, but they didn't publish it until May 19th. So you can imagine if you receive this, you're like, no, this can't be real. And then the person's telling you like, it's real. Like I'm the guy that leaked this. I use these assets. So we start looking into the background of Lieutenant Commander Edward C. Lynn. Turns out he's on the Special Projects Patrol Squadron called the VPU-2 Wizards that flies in the most sensitive spy planes on the planet. Somebody actually just recently told me too that the VP squadrons actually have deployments in Diego Garcia as well, which if true is pretty damning. He would have flown on P-8 Poseidon as well as the Lockheed Martin EP-3 Ares II. That particular plane has real-time tactical SIG-INT, which is signals intelligence, and full motion video intelligence. And the crew fuses collected intelligence along with offboard data for battlefield situational awareness. Like the role of what his job was literally to be tracking planes just like this. The case against him got codename Rogue Archer, which I just think is interesting. The signals intelligence is how all these assets communicate wirelessly, like a military internet network. The drone, the satellite, spy plane, this is how all this stuff comes together. The dates are extremely damning. He was deployed to the VPU-2 squadron in February of 2014. We got a quote from his lawyer in one of the articles that said the case against him the investigation began April 2nd, 2014. Which remember, if he was logged into that Citrix session, they're going to have logs for it. And I was looking for somebody who got caught pretty quickly because the moment they see this on the internet, they're going to be looking for who's the guy that potentially leaked this or had unauthorized access to the data. His Lieutenant Commander Edward C. Lynn's actual role was to relay information to upper command as well. So he would have been a guy in the right position to have access to all this footage. He would have been knowledgeable enough to know how to download it and potentially disseminate it.
And enough rank to maybe get it outside.
Yes, exactly. And then in May of 2014, he accidentally left two flight manifests in his flight suit that included deployments from search and rescue with search and rescue code names in them, which is the only search and rescue in that time period would have been MH370. There's even an article on the internet about his case where at the top, it has a picture of a P-8 Poseidon literally searching for MH370. It says in the caption. And I'm like, why is that on an article about this guy? Because people even just tangentially were putting the two and two together. But the real kicker is that the defense argued that the classified information in question is available on the internet that he leaked. He ended up taking a plea deal, only pleading to the charges that he was actually guilty of. Like his family came out with this big campaign about how he's being vilified. The lawyers argued that the prostitution charge and the other stuff that they're putting out there to the media was just obfuscation. The military was actually afraid that if the case went to court, they would have to make the information that he leaked publicly available. That they would have to say what it is. And if you look up similar cases for espionage, they have no problem talking about what people leaked. There's one recently where they're talking about exactly how much money trying to pay the guy to leak information out there. But for this guy, they won't say anything about it. And it's pretty obvious because if these videos are what this guy leaked and they were to admit to it, you have a lot of tough questions to answer about why we got crazy hypersonic orbs that can warp a plane from one location to the other. His charge sheet is heavily redacted. It was the first major incident of espionage and an active duty member of the Navy since the end of the Cold War. They were trying to get him in prison for life, but they ended up having to admit that there was no evidence whatsoever that he exchanged any information with anyone from China. But if you're the United States and you've had this counter-espionage mission, and then you see these videos get leaked, you're going to think that the person that leaked them is spying for China because you're giving away all the secrets about the operation that we just did. But then you go and you talk to him and you find out, no, like he didn't even know possibly what he was looking at. And he was just trying to tell the world, like, this is what happened to MH370. Maybe he thought just some random orbs, wiped it out, zapped it or something like that. And that's why he potentially came out and then took the plea deal. and admitted that what he did was wrong and that he wanted to be an example for anyone else who would do that, because this was a guy that was by all accounts a patriot, and we trusted him with like nuclear weapons. So yeah, the United States had to admit that it wasn't even really a spy case in the end, which begs the question: if it wasn't even really a spy case, why is this information being held up from the FOIA request due to national security reasons and foreign policy?
I hate to go here, but I'm being realistic and my mind goes dark. Currently, we have issues with an airplane manufacturer, Boeing, and people who have been whistleblowing are no longer with us. So I don't know if anybody's ever asked you, but why is he still with us and why are you?
No, those are good questions. And part of the reason why I'm saying his name is to protect him, because if all of a sudden there's an obituary about Edward C. Lynn, it's going to look extremely suspicious. Edward C. Lynn has not reached out to me to tell me to stop saying his name, despite the fact that I bring this up on many, many, many podcasts. If these videos are real, he is potentially in danger, and I'm potentially in danger. In fact, I've heard through back channels, people that are connected, that they are worried about me and the information that I'm disseminating. And this is part of the reason why I'm being so high profile about it. Is that I don't care, even if it was, I'm not afraid. If I need to be a martyr for this information, for extremely hyper advanced technology, potentially free energy for the world, I can't think of any more noble cause. If I'm wrong about all this, then I have nothing to worry about.
Lots of fucking people are dead with that same thought process. Lots of people.
I could think of a great Y-Files video about people with the free energy stuff that they all seem to die.
They seem to get Minecrafted really, really conveniently. I do need to break up this guy with some true artistic
all right, I'll be right back.
Hold on, you got to see it. Some true artistic stuff from our boy Ryan Reynolds and Wolverine. You see this picture?
Yeah, Liefeld's.
Liefeld's just feet.
Yeah, because Liefeld can't draw feet. Or he draws weird feet on people. Yeah,
it's good. Like it's like they threw it in the fucking movie. Like,
yeah, I saw it in the movie actually. I thought I brought that up.
No.
When we did the review.
No. I'm not giving you credit. I'm not giving you credit.
I'm pretty sure I can go back and find it. I'm gonna have someone find that. It's in there. Clip it. I brought it up about the foot thing.
Clip it.
Clip it, zip it, and send it down.
Yeah.
Clippers start clipping.
Well, they're all asleep. All right, I'll add this back to the stage. Go ahead and play it.
Okay.
About. And if I'm right, then it was all worth it in the end. It's not as simple as just killing people these days. I was listening to former General Flynn talk about this a little bit. And one of the things he was saying is that we have so much forensic nowadays. And anyone else you include in something like this to silence someone or whatever is another loose end that you have to tie up. And you have to explain what happened to the person and why. If I were to disappear all of a sudden, it would be extremely, extremely suspicious given what I've been disclosing out there. But to your point, these Boeing whistleblowers are, having heart attacks and other stuff happen to them, and very opportune time.
And it can be coincidence. Correlation doesn't mean causation.
Yeah. And I'm not accusing them directly. I do think it's really weird that Boeing planes are literally falling apart every single day now, and their whistleblowers are,
falling apart
dead.
as well.
And I don't want that to happen to me as well. I've been very upfront with the government as well. If these are real, I would like for them to talk to me, because I do not enjoy revealing these are probably the most top secret weapons in the United States arsenal. Like magnitudes more secret than nuclear weapons are.
Again,
magnitudes more powerful than nuclear weapons are. I can understand why they want to keep them secret.
Why would the government want to tell you anything? You're some fucking asshole on the internet.
Government don't tell us secrets.
Yeah. Ask Snowden how that worked out for him. What the fuck?
Not good.
I mean, Jesus Christ, man. Like, first of all, if you're this close to, you better be running for some border that's not going to extradite your ass, dude. Or you're so full of shit that the government's like, oh my God, this retard again. Like, it's either or, Jim. He's either totally terrified or he's going to run for the border. Hey, Kevin, if you're in the chat, Jim's eating again. What are you eating tonight? Pretzel sticks?
Pretzel rods. I also had some chips.
Lay's or Great Value or what?
I'm not from Chili's.
Oh, you bought a bag of chips from Chili's home?
Mm-hmm.
They go stale really quick, though, man. All those restaurant chips go stale fast. They don't have enough preservatives in them. See, you got the whole chat wanting to eat, man. There goes Ben. I want some chips, too. I love chips, man. Do you like salty or sweet better, Jim? I like salty better for a snack. I'm not a sweet guy.
I can't even understand why we want
a piece of cheesecake. I'll eat that
motherfucker. I love cheesecake.
Oh shit, dude! And we found a real good cheesecake place in Morris, Illinois, a couple weeks ago. We will. Yeah, that's what. Yeah, MH370 60 ounce. It's actually been a really good show. I think we've heard some good content. Lemino's content was fantastic. This interview is good. This guy is just very, very confident, and he could be erased pretty quickly.
Or he could actually be working for the government. He could be a CIA agent trying to give us bogus information.
He's a misinformation guy, right? Like they had for the UFO stuff back in the 40s, 50s, and 60s. That guy that was going.
Just like they did with that whole QAnon thing.
Salt and vinegar. Salt and vinegar is a superior potato chip, dude. In doses. I do like good salt and vinegar chips, but I can't eat them like I can eat, a good bag of just potato chips because the sourness just gets after me. But Casey's actually has a flavor now, Jim. Spicy dill.
Mm-hmm.
Holy shit. It is spicy as hell, and it's still got that dill flavor. Like, it's good. He has a fed ear. He has a fed earpiece. It's very true. Who wears an earpiece like that now?
The feds.
The feds. Fed.
I think I saw something called like spicy chicken ramen flavored chips.
Oh, dude, they got a flavor they got a flavor of the week now. It seems like all these chip companies.
Free energy secret because if you look at it from the perspective of people hiding it, they would think that we're going to destroy the entire planet. And I'm not talking about like shooting nukes at one another. I'm talking like press a button and the planet explodes type technology. That's how advanced this is. So it is a type of thing where you have to be very careful and measured about what your response is and how you reveal it. But to date, they have not attempted to reach out to me or convince me that I shouldn't be disclosing this information. So until then, I'm going to keep pushing forward with it. I have given this information to the AARO, which is the All Domain Anomaly Resolution Office. I think they're the appropriate party because they're the ones looking at this UFO stuff that's out there. And while I don't think this is aliens or anything related to that, I do think this proves and shows that we have gravitational manipulation capabilities as well as space-time manipulation. As hard as that is to believe. And they would be the ones that could look into the defense contractors. And from my first interaction with them, I talked to somebody, a lieutenant colonel. I'm not going to say their name because they asked me not to, but in January, I talked to them for the first time. And I gave them the verifiable information. I said, you can find Edward C. Lynn. They said, well, I wasn't unsure if they would be able to get the information. They said, well, we can get the classifications required to find out what it was that he leaked. So it's really just a simple yes or no. Like if he leaked these videos, boom, they're real. There's your proof. If for some reason these aren't what he leaked, well, then what did he leak that's available on the internet that we, even after a plea deal, gave him a 9-year sentence after a plea deal for like, what could be so serious that we would come down on him so hard, even after we had to admit that he wasn't even a spy. To me, these videos.
Dude, it's still a military code of conduct thing, dude. There's a minimum sentence on. This is not the fucking private sector. The federal sentencing guidelines are strict for military code. I don't give a shit. The plea deal is the plea deal. Oh, you don't want to die? All right, you're going to go to jail for life. That's your fucking plea at the most. Don't be a retard. A retard. What kind? I do Copenhagen snuff or skull fine cut twigs, either or. But I like some Copenhagen snuff a lot. All right, go ahead.
Those are the only thing to match up. We even looked at his appeals. His appeals, he argued that he was way over sentenced, and he's right. Even other people that were convicted of espionage, like the one out in February, I think it was, he only got like 2 years. That's convicted of actual espionage as opposed to Edward C. Lynn, where he just pled guilty to like, I think 2 counts of dissemination of classified materials. And we even looked at the penal codes. The penal codes of what he was convicted of are consistent with potentially being video evidence. So I think that the AARO, they've pretty much been ghosting me for the most part. There is one email that I would like to read because I think it is quite telling. They did respond back to me, and I've been sending them emails probably once every couple of weeks. They were supposed to send me a memorandum of record. They never did. They keep sending me like excuses about how they're busy or something like that. And they keep saying how they'll get back to me next week, and they never do. But then one day on April 11th, they replied back to me, which was almost a month ago now. And this was a very ominous email. Mr. Forbes, my apologies for the slow responses. AARO is researching several topics at the moment. Some of AARO's initial research into MH370 has revealed the U.S. government's search efforts after the airliner disappeared from radar. I believe the genesis and authenticity of the videos may be helpful. Can you confirm the date the videos were published to the Regicide Anon YouTube channel? And yes, a quick follow-up call may be helpful. And I spent the reason why I read that is because I'm expecting them to come back and say, no, this is all fake, blah, blah, blah. We didn't have surveillance footage of the event. But if they did initial research already, and I'd given them the videos, given them Edward C. Lynn, then they must have found something that they're interested in there. And this is the part where if these videos are real, like what can they even possibly say? The amount of evidence that I put forth in the story I put forth in my mind is unshakable. It's almost undeniable how much evidence. So there's not even a story that they can plausibly come up with that can cover this up at this point. I think their only response is to not respond at all. Because anything they say, even if they were to lie, I just compared against my 17 pages of evidence to figure out, does this fit the story? And the only story in my mind that fits is that these videos are what happened to the plane.
Okay, now that was my question about safety. And then my next question, which I'm sure you see coming a mile away, is I looked it up and...
So this video is just a quick summary of the ways in which we know the videos are fake. First, this portal effect was found by Redditor IcySlide7698 to be made using modified stock footage from the 1990s. It's impossible for all these curves along the edges to match by accident, and in comparisons between other frames, we see the internal details match. We know the stock footage is that old because it was used in a 1995 game called Killing Time for a portal effect. The stock footage is also used in the fake satellite video, as found by Redditor Happy Grammy, where an overexposed version of this frame matches the portal effect. That should be enough. But then we also have the stabilization issue, where if we stabilize the plane, then the contrails jump around. I've looked at thousands of videos of contrails, and they just don't do this. This must be a tracking and compositing error, and also shows that the video is fake. There are a bunch of other issues, like the supposed stereo version being the same image left and right, just with a manual distortion. There are issues with the frame rate. The drone footage seems to be using a 3D model. The satellite footage is static when we'd expect motion from parallax with the clouds, and several other things. But really, the fact that both videos use stock footage should be all you need to demonstrate that these videos are what they appear to be, silly fakes, a distraction upon which I shall waste no more time.
This video was put together by an individual named Mick West, along with an article who wrote about this in the Skeptical Inquirer. And from what I've seen, and some of this is extremely recent, that Mick West you've been back and forth with for a while, but then you also are debating publicly, I guess, if you will, with Kim.com. What are the claims of these folks, and what are your counters?
Yeah, and I have no problem if people want to believe these videos are real. They're not, or I mean, fake. That if they want to believe, people want to believe the videos are fake, they absolutely can. These videos are real. Mick West is actually accounts for at least 3 of the 4 prominent debunks related to MH370. I think it's very odd that all debunks go back to one guy who is a unemployed serial debunker for the last 15 years that seems to have a vested interest in proving things to be fake. It actually goes all the way back to the Philip Wood EXIF data picture that shows that he potentially ended up in Diego Garcia. Mick West is the guy that tried to debunk that picture as well. He's been caught falsifying multiple debunks. The jittery contrails was the most recent one that we've proven beyond any doubt that Mick West falsified a fake debunk. They used stabilization software that inaccurately shifted the smoke trails behind the plane to make it look like they were not connected to the plane. We were able to prove beyond any shadow of a doubt that that's because of the stabilization software seeing the smoke as part of the background. And somebody proved that by shifting the video to black and white and then restabilizing it using stabilizing software, and the disconnection goes away entirely. So Mick West doesn't have any credibility whatsoever when it comes to debunking.
Kevin has a question for you.
Oh, I'm eating some chips and some pretzel rods.
Yeah. So you didn't have a late dinner tonight?
No, I actually didn't. I had a late lunch.
Yeah.
Or the MH370 videos. So that's 2 debunks. And then the third one is this Pyromania VFX debunk that showed up on Reddit on August 19th by a 1-day-old Reddit account. There's not a lot of people that would need to use a burner email account to push a debunk. Mick West is one of the only ones who would have to do that because his reputation is so bad that if people realized it was coming from him, it wouldn't have any credibility. So a 1-day-old account pushes it on Reddit, and the same day, and I have all the receipts, by the way, for this, the same day Mick West claims on his Metabunk website that he's the one who found it. He's the only real person who claims to have found it. And he says he found it in an obscure 3DO Killing Time video game from the 90s, which if Mick West does actually choose to debate me, he's dodged 4 debates. One of the first questions I'm going to ask him is, was he messing around with his old 3DO video games? How exactly did he find this Killing Time effect? So the thing about this Pyromania VFX as well is it objectively doesn't match. Mick West has admitted this as well. And I don't know why people feel the need to lie and claim that it does. It doesn't match. It's not even the same kind of event. The videos is a endothermic black event, and this is an explosion event. When you overlay it directly over the video, you can see that there is one frame that looks pretty similar. I can understand. The middle is not even at all the same, but the rest of the frames aren't even close. So the claim that's being made by the debunkers is that somebody manipulated this VFX to somehow like change all the frames around, move the pixels around, whatever. They can't actually provide a list of steps to recreate it to make it a pixel perfect match. And my counter argument is that has never been done on this VFX before. We actually found 4 examples of this VFX being used, the stock effect, and never once has anybody manipulated it. The Killing Time video game, there was an attack on Titan, which is this very popular anime that had an advertisement that included it. It was used in the movie Starship Troopers, which is a cult classic from the 90s, and it was used in the TV show on HBO Eastbound and Down. None of them manipulated in any way, shape, or form like this. So the assertion that this was somehow manipulated is one that needs to be proven, not one that you can just make a bare assertion and argue that this somehow proves that this was used in the videos. The endothermic event is consistent with a wormhole as shown in 3 different Defense Intelligence Agency papers, and negative energy that is required in order to produce that type of effect. And then the last debunk, the Kim.com situation, which I wouldn't really call it a debate, is the cloud picture. And I just recently posted on Twitter just earlier today, because a lot of people, this cloud image shows up in December, and it came from a 6-day-old Reddit account. There's always these anonymous 6-day-old Reddit accounts, 1-day-old Reddit accounts seem to find these, which right away, there's no credibility to it at all, because the person just immediately lied off the bat and claimed that they found this cloud image in 20 minutes of searching out of the thousands and millions of cloud images that are out there, especially because the cloud image they found, in order to get to match, has to be stretched out, reoriented and stitched together in order to get its match, but that someone was just looking at thousands of cloud images and went, oh, that's the one that I saw in this video after doing that. The story makes absolutely no sense whatsoever. I actually tried to reach out to this Reddit account and figure out what the real story was about how they found this, and they wouldn't tell me the truth. Then they went ahead and started, these same Redditors have actually committed felony fraud against me, just to show you how dishonest these people were. They fabricated a fake RAR file with fake metadata in it to try to perpetuate a scam against me, and then they used that to try to humiliate me back in December as well. So I just want people to realize these people are mentally unwell, and they're willing to fabricate fake evidence against the case and against me.
Didn't he ever think that these people doing this might actually be the government? No, the government that would never plant fake evidence. They wouldn't go to an ex-president's house and stage a bunch of classified documents with shit and put stuff there that wasn't there, and they wouldn't do that.
And they wouldn't string a guy along to distract people from what really happened, make this guy feel like he's on the right path to fucking nothing. I know, I appreciate the fact that this guy got put on this show, but he is answering everything like it's a certainty, Jim. It's a certainty. There's no doubt.
Because they want this to go away that badly. It's actually a little bit scary, to be honest with you. But just going back to the cloud image itself, because we've done a lot of forensic analysis on this, the cloud image only goes back on the Wayback Machines to 2016, does not predate the videos. The website in general, where it came from, had an update date on December 4th, 2023, coinciding with the creation of the 6-day-old Reddit account. The website owner tried to show the background database data on this, and it only goes back even from their records to October of 2014, which is actually after the videos as well. The cloud image doesn't reverse image search back to the website, but the other images in the set do, which is extremely suspicious. The person who supposedly took the picture, who I've talked to firsthand, told us that we should look in the torrents because potentially somebody got it from a pirated torrent, and that's how they maybe got the cloud image. We looked in the torrents. This image does not exist in any torrents that are out there. So if this image was used in the videos, it would have had to have come from the website, and there's only a 70-day window between the plane disappearing and the video being published. So that means that probably less than a handful of people would have downloaded that image. And yet the website owner, none of these people are trying to find who downloaded this image, which should be suspicious for anyone who's interested. And then people on X have shown that you can take a lower quality cloud image. The argument here is that somebody simply took the video and made a cloud image out of it. And they've been able to show that you can use AI to create a higher quality image from a lower quality image in under 1 minute. I've got a video of that as well. And then some users as well. There's a lot of technical analysis that shows inconsistencies in the photo, but the biggest death blow is that somebody found the exact picture of Mount Fuji from Flickr that has the exact same angle and shadows on Mount Fuji that was seemingly added into this cloud picture that people found. And the reason why that's important is because the person who took the picture claimed to have taken it from an airplane at a very specific time in the day. So for there to be an exact same angle and shadows on this Mount Fuji from another picture is seemingly completely impossible. So that's, I think, the strongest evidence against the cloud picture, the VFX debunk, the jittery contrails debunk, and everything else that's out there. At the end of the day, whether or not you believe the videos are real or fake, nobody should be against the United States government issuing a statement on this. We've got a plane that disappeared where the official story is no one knows what happened to it. We search in the location where everybody claims they know where it's at, and we find nothing whatsoever. The debris we find contraindicates the story that's being told to us. And these videos and the evidence that goes along with them represent more evidence than, I would say, 99.9% of murder cases that have been out there that convict somebody. We've got 2 videos, 19 witnesses. We've got a full story that explains the entire series of events, and the debunkers don't have any story that makes any sense. Like, who's the hoaxer? How did they make this? How do they know how the science worked? How do they know how to get the engineering and the plane correct? How do they know about classified military systems that nobody would have known about in 2014? Why did they not come forward to accept a $150,000 bounty that we had out there for the hoaxer to come forward with proof? It defies belief in terms of how somebody could have created these.
Okay, well, then to close out, one last question. You mentioned that you've tried to debate with Mick West multiple times, or there have been scheduled debates. If by some miracle he was to agree to come on this channel and debate you, would you be up for it?
Well, here's the thing. 4 different people have tried to do that, and he's backed out every single time. So at this point, I'm kind of moving past the debunkers and what have you. Like, I want to debate scientists on the idea that there may be an ether, and this is how we can get the negative energy requirements that we need for warp drive and a wormhole.
That's a cop out.
But if it came down to it, like, he's the only guy that really has enough pedigree to even debate against at this point. But the truth is, like, I don't think he would last 5 minutes. The questions I would ask him, in terms of how he found this random VFX, how to manipulate it, I would even tell him what my questions are ahead of time. I mean, I would tell him what is the full story for who made this and why. I would ask him what he thinks happened to the plane and what evidence there is. Because when you ask these debunkers, what do you think happened to it? Like, they're happy to try to poke holes in your arguments and say that things must be fake. But then you tell them, hey, what do you think happened? Their answer is always, well, I don't know. And so this goes to show that they're not out there trying to solve the case. What they're trying to do is they're trying to make it go away. So it's possible. I can't say for sure, but it was something we'd have to work it out.
Okay, and this will be really the last question, but I like to ask people, what is the one question I should have asked you, but I neglected to?
Oh, that's a really good one. Probably, I think the thing we didn't get into too much is the science aspect. Like, how can you be sure these videos are real? And what I would say is it's not just the body of evidence that goes along with it, this obfuscation that happened, all the witnesses and stuff, but the science checks out too and is consistent with science that's not mainstream. Lieutenant Colonel Thomas Bearden talked about something called scalar physics, which is this idea that Maxwell's equations were correct, and that when we reduced those equations, when Oliver Heaviside reduced them down from 20 to 4, we lost the scalar potential. And if you were to take two sides of a force, like this rubber band, and you were to stretch it in both directions, physics would say, well, the sum is 0. But is the sum really 0? If I stretch it a little bit, or a little bit more, or a little bit more, physics would say it's still 0. But if I stretch this more and more and more, eventually this rubber band is going to snap. And what that is the stress in the medium of this. The stress in the medium of space-time is gravity. So what we've lost when we reduced those equations, we lost the ability to manipulate gravity. And this is where Thomas Bearden's science comes into play, where this has been out there. This is not, I'm not rediscovering any science to make these videos be real. It's already been out there, and I just had to go and uncover it and say, oh, we've been talking about this for a while. This proves that that's real. And so these are the reasons why, in addition to the fact that I've talked to Navy engineer Salvatore Paez, my friend DoD contractor Dave Rossi, who work on, if not the same, very similar technologies to this, and they more or less have said that this stuff is real. So this is the reason why I'm so confident that these videos are accurate and that this science will change the world.
Jim, who's the black guy?
All right, now people can follow you on X, and I believe it's Ash.
Billy Carson. Yeah, he was on with Luke Unchanged today.
Well, him and Billy ought to get together. I think they're both very confident guys in what they believe. And he said something
this
about
guy seems more believable to me than Billy Carson, though.
No, I agreed. But he just said 5 minutes ago that the U.S. government should put out a statement about this. It's not a fucking U.S. plane. Who the fuck cares? They don't. Why is it up to them?
Well, the U.S. government. I mean, I believe those videos are real. That it was taken by our satellites and our planes. I believe we arrested a guy for leaking them.
Yeah,
Henry Lynn or whatever his name is, that they were trying to get rid of the pilot and the co-pilot. The pilot's name was something Wong, and the co-pilot's name was Wee Too Low, and the engineering officer was
Holy Shit.
Holy Fook.
Yeah, I guess I just think that it'd be interesting if he would do the debate with a debunker. I think his problem to me, Jim, is he thinks it's all real. It's either the orbs did it, or the fire did it, or the plane crashed next to that fucking military base. Is it all of them? Can it be all of them?
I mean, I don't know. It just seems it's a very complex plan that had to go right for all this to have happened the way he claims.
Well, I mean, that's not hard. I mean, they plan shit all the time. I mean, there's always sacrifices for shit, right? Like maybe the U.S. government was trying new technology out, and they were like, well, it's a midnight flight to China. Who the fuck's going to miss this plane? They might have wanted
his story that he thinks it was because these guys were going to give the technology to the Chinese.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. The 12 engineers or whatever. Yeah. That's a little ridiculous. Was it U.S. technology? Is that why we are the ones that went over there and flew our orbs around the plane and followed it with satellites? Yeah, it's crazy. Like whose fears are they? Were they U.S. technology chips that Malaysia had the license, I guess, to manufacture them or whatever? I don't know. But that was a good video. That was a good video. It was interesting. I mean, the guy did have a lot to say. He did seem to have some thought into his responses, right?
I will say that the one thing he didn't do to tie it all together was bring up the fact that in the Bourne Legacy movie.
Oh, yes. Now we're getting deep woo-woo. Yeah.
The lab that... What the fuck, dog?
He wants a fucking chip.
Oh, fucking pulling on my headphone cord.
Oh, okay.
The lab that they had to go to, remember when they had to go to the lab to get the stuff, Jeremy Renner and the chick?
Mm-hmm.
It was in Kuala Lumpur.
Oh, really?
Yes. It all comes full circle.
All full circle. Yes. The orbs say.
What ties this all together is look. Matt Damon was the original Jason Bourne in the Bourne identity and all that. And Ben Affleck, his best friend, played Batman. And that woman said in that one video said there was no bat weather.
No bat weather.
See? You gotta read between the lines.
It's all tied in. It's all in the Matrix, dude. It's all in the Matrix. Very good point. Jim finally woke up. You were going through a not off phase there for about 30 minutes.
Yeah, I don't know what that was all about.
That's how I get every day around 4 o'clock. And I was like, holy shit, do I need to take a nap? But I never do. This, like, they might come from Jim's. Was it? Somebody asked, where do I know Jim from? Earlier, 60 ounce says, where do I know Jim from? Jim's everywhere. Jim's been in a lot of places in his Twitter and YouTube life. Not necessarily on camera, but in chats and stuff, right?
Could be.
Could be. Yeah, well, this was a blast, but I got to go, dude.
All right,
I got to go do a fucking 9-hour training class tomorrow morning. Got to be there at 7. And it's an hour and 25-minute drive there. So, chat, thank you all for being here. Tomorrow night, we'll see what we come up with. And thank you all for participating. I hope you enjoyed the show because I had fun with this show. This was interesting. It's woo-woo, but it's sad too, Jim, because people died. A lot of people died. Like what, 236 people or 34 people died. It's a lot of people. And those families have no answers. That sucks. And if there are answers out there and people are hiding it from them for government reasons, that's fucking terrible. But they've been doing it since, mankind's had governments. So hiding isn't the worst thing they've ever done. But anyway, thank you guys all for being here. We will see you soon.
See you tomorrow. Or maybe
see you tomorrow.